So, hey everyone, welcome. Hi. If I sneeze in the next few seconds, I apologize. I was trying to get the sneeze out before this thing started, but I didn't. So, it is what it is. But we're going to do the proper intro in a little bit, as usual with these kinds of shows. Uh, Not super structured. So, you know, I just realized, by the way, that the three of us, like the three hairstyles, reminds me of like the Three Stooges. It's just like we got like the mop thing, and then like the bald thing where curly, and then like Larry with the out. So kind of kind of like the Three Stooges of crypto right here.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly. The iconoclasts, eh?
yes. Now that earlier we were mentioning like generational things and like how much stuff has changed. I wonder who the last generation is that will get that reference. Like, obviously, we all know who the Three Stooges are, but like, do you think people that weren't born in the 1900s, like the young the younguns, the Gen Z, do you think they will like not be like, who are the Three Stooges?
Gen Z is still in, right? They're like 1998 or
Yes,
99 that is the cutoff.
something
I,
like
I
that.
can't remember exactly, what it's supposed to be, right? But,
Hmm.
it could be one of those things that it will just continue on as a reference. Like, at what generation are people not going to know who Einstein is? Like, I'm sure the people in Einstein's time or the generation after were like, fuck, nobody will know Einstein. It's like, no, everybody still knows Einstein. It just carries on as a kind of byword, even if people have never heard a single thing that he ever said, a recording of anything, never read a book or a paper or anything that he's ever done. They still just know the concept, right? It's just going to be like that, probably.
Yeah. Oh, you're mated, by the way, animal.
Yeah, sorry about that. No, it's our job as the elders to pass down these memes, right?
Hmm.
Like
Absolutely.
I've got a list of movies, for example, my girlfriend hasn't seen. She's like 10 years younger than I am, so I'm making these references. Big Lebowski, whatever, Pulp Fiction, let's say, The Matrix.
Yeah, the
I
Matrix,
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember
yeah,
when the Matrix is new and hot. Like, no, it's such a boomer stuff, but yeah.
right. So like we have this list. We have a notepad that we share, and we just keep adding movies to it, and we're working our way through it. Yeah.
The Matrix, that's a solid one. It holds up so well, though. It's insane when you look like even now the graphics and everything is like,
Yeah.
all right, I love it. And you just think in 2000, people coming out of the cinema from that were like,
Yeah.
There's this new Matrix screening, right, where they have like an extended, I guess, a panorama in the theater. It's a special theater. It's kind of like the Dome in Vegas, where they have the movie playing in the center, and then like an extension, a panorama that happens, with, like all kinds of effects happening. Looks pretty sweet.
that does
Wow.
sound pretty cool. Yeah, I'd never heard of that, though. Damn.
No, it's pretty
Well,
cool.
maybe they can just get some AI tools or something, and then just extend the existing scenes. Maybe it can predict like if they'd had more screen space, what they would have put on it or something. That's a pretty cool idea. Remixes of it'll be like you have the director's cut, and then you have the remastered, and then you're gonna have like the AI extended. That's gonna be the new
Yes.
thing.
Now
Yeah,
you
this
got.
is actually called the shared reality experience. So the Matrix shared reality.
You know what's funny about all that? Like, do you remember the? Were either of you guys Star Wars nerds back in the day?
I mean, I liked it. I vividly remember going to see. It was probably even the second movie that I ever went to see. Was the first Star Wars: The Phantom Menace with my
Hmm.
dad. But yeah, I'm not like deep in the lore, or I didn't read the books or whatever. Like I know the main beats.
No, I'm a
Yeah.
fan. Why?
Yeah. I remember because I remember watching the original trilogy on VHS so many times as a child, and it's like everyone, by the way, is gonna be like mind blown how fucking old I am at this, all these references and things. But so I remember when then they came out with the special edition, which is like slightly remastered of like that, and then in like the special edition they used some like basic, they put in some like extra like 3D animation stuff instead of other things to make it like look newer. And it was at that stage where some of it was like, oh, this looks cool, and some of it was like, oh, it just looks awful. And like that, like a 3D Jabba the Hutt they put in like in the corner and stuff. And then Phantom Menace and all the other stuff. So, yeah, it's wild to see. I kind of feel like, you know, Blade Runner, like the new Blade Runner.
I've not seen that yet. I know the old one, but the new one I haven't seen it yet.
I thought it was excellent. I thought it was on par. Well, here's the thing. I kind of thought it was better than the original, but less transformational, less like of a big deal, right? Because it's already
it's a sequel, isn't it?
Yes. So it was like, I thought it was like a cleaner, better done movie, like a little bit more easy to watch and stuff. But it still went deep places, right? But the original Blade Runner was a little more like, because they started all the stuff, it was a little bit more like, more must see, I guess. Whereas the other one, you don't have to see as much, but it's still really good. And it's also good for memes. Like the amount of memes I've seen were just like, you know, pretty crazy.
That one where he's bleeding out in the snow, I still need to watch the movie to get on board with that. I'm like, okay, he's kind of given up or whatever. Yeah, fair enough. But I'm sure there's more to it if you've seen the whole movie.
Also, just like the 3D virtual girlfriend stuff is like interesting, because that's also like kind of old hat. But like the thing is, they make it seem like that's how you know it's just like a blockchain that still works like 15 years later or whatever. This still holds up. It's like you don't have to do new things. If you do the old thing well enough, all you have to do is just polish it and it just still works, right? Whereas if you make something that's very topical, but then it just sucks, it just doesn't hold up, you have to change a lot. And so it's like Blade Runner was like, whoa, what if there's like cyborgs and they're like, where's the line with humanity, man? It's like, that's such a dumb, trite kind of thing in today's world. But they actually went through the themes deep enough to where if you watch that old shit, it still like makes sense. It's still enjoyable today. It's still something new for people. So yeah.
We haven't gotten to human cloning yet, right? For the military, as far as we know. So yeah.
Yeah, then that's right after the Phantom Menace, right? That's look, to be fair, that didn't explore them on any kind of a deep level at all.
Well, they couldn't hit shit, so like it didn't really matter how many of them there were. They were all like programmed to miss. So
that's the other funny thing. Like, I guess last Star Wars reference before we start this thing is there was a time when like the "I am your father" point was just like everyone's mind was blown. Like there's like, oh my gosh, did you like? It was just like, and then now it's just the dumbest thing you could do in a film. Is just like the bad guy is actually your dad. No, that can't be. Everyone's just like, yeah, whatever. But it was like everyone was just mind blown at that time. Yeah, fun stuff. All right, let me just hit this intro thing so we can actually. I have a person in the chat who is a grandfather himself and says VHS, love it. It's like, yep, this show's got a little something for everyone, you know. All right, let's hit the intro and get this thing going. Where is it? 3, 2, 1, go. Hey everyone, welcome officially. This is a Digital Cash Rundown episode 200. 200. It's been 200 of these. 200 weeks. It's been more than 200 weeks because I've taken a few of these off on travel and things like that. But basically 200 weeks consistently for this live show. I started in middle, I think, of 2020. Early 2020, I started the channel and just did interviews. And eventually I was like, might as well do a live news show. So, yay. 200 is not.
Damn, that's an insane run. Like, congratulations, by the way. Yeah. I'm at 157 and I don't do one a week. I've still got like another year or more to get on those kind of numbers, maybe 2. So, dude, that's insane work ethic.
Well, thank you very much. And you know what's funny is occasionally I run this other show called the Dash Podcast, which is immediately after this one that I was running before I had this channel. I started with some people, and for the last couple of years at least, 3 or 4 years at least, it's been like every month instead of every like week or something. And that one is going to be episode 220 soon. So there's a lot of episodes of like trash content I've been putting out. I've been Sybil attacking the airwaves here for a little while. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. I wish this was like episode 20 and they all got like 1 million views each, but like whatever, I don't care at the end of the day.
You got to start somewhere.
Sylvan says, I've seen pretty much all the Matrix films ever released. I think a lot of people could relate to. Yeah, and that, by the way, is just like the last bit on like the movie stuff. That's the thing was disappointing is like the newer Matrix one that I never saw.
Oh, it was so rubbish.
Yeah, did you see it?
It was so bad.
Okay.
Like I really just it's one of those things where you want to have high hopes, but to be honest, like because even the second and third Matrix movies kind of suck. Really, it's one of those things where you can watch the first one and then just leave it there, and then you're good. Don't worry about the sequel. But you watch the series, okay, whatever. You got to be fucking about
the Animatrix.
The Animatrix is sick. The Animatrix
is
going off. Oh man, that's so sick. Yeah, if you haven't watched
we should do more of those, honestly.
Yeah. What's that one called? The Second Revolution Part 1 or whatever? Oh, God.
Yeah, the Second Renaissance Age or something.
The Second Renaissance. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Watch that shit. Exactly. Forget about the fourth Matrix movie.
That's our reality right now, man. We're living it.
You know what's funny? Halfway. All these things with art, I just kind of like with a decentralized blockchain that's running itself, I kind of feel like a piece of art is kind of like a timestamp almost. It's a permanent etching in culture, and it's its own independent thing. I think the art is entirely divorced from the creator after it's created, even though you can trace it back to, you see the creator thought about this way. But so like part of that is like the Matrix, like it was a seminal work that just shaped a lot of modern thought, right? It just really it impacted a lot of people, and then the creators ended up transitioning and saying, it was all about transitioning. I was like, no, it wasn't. I don't care. Even though they did. Yeah, even though you guys made this is your creation. It's not yours anymore. You made a thing. It is. We will interpret it how we want. I don't care how you meant it to land. It landed this way, out of your hands. I don't care. And like so many times, like how many times did George Lucas screw up the Star Wars movies after? There's just so many things of that. It's like, that's why I don't think it's accurate. I'm willing to buy that Craig Wright was Satoshi and still screw him. Like, because what if he was Satoshi and he came back and did all this nonsense? I would be like, well, I don't care if you made this. This is ours now, so bugger off. Like, I don't care. Like, it's not yours anymore. It's just, it is what it is. It's a creation. You might have been a huge whatever, but you accidentally made something way cooler than you. And so you don't own it. I don't care about your
Well, it's like being a parent, I think, basically. It's a similar idea. It's like, okay, you have your kid, and then you have your kid, so that's great. But then once your kid gets to a certain age, and especially once they've like an adult themselves, like you're not in control or responsible or really, what's going on. Like that's just a separate thing. And you might be able, to comment, you might be in a good position to like give some thought, but really it's kind of on its own now.
Yeah. You made a person. You didn't make a extension of you. You made a just random character generator person. And it's not you. It's a different person. So it's kind of wild. But art is definitely not necessarily as unique, but it is what it is. So, well, speaking of all these old things, I'm gonna maybe that sounded mean to say, but I'm gonna shill Cohen ATM radar here, and then there's some interesting perspective on that. So this podcast needs to switch the stream to. Oh, actually, I'm going to filibuster for a bit because I forgot to set up the screen that switches to the little ad read screen. But isn't that funny? Isn't it also funny how like all these years later, I still don't have like the basics of my setup kind of figured out.
That's where your 1 million views is missing, mate. You need some of those thumbnails with you doing a shocked face and like Mr. Beat and a rocket emoji and a fire emoji. That'll get you some clicks.
It's funny because like when Naomi Brockwell was coming up and starting to get good in the YouTube scene, she'd always do like those like, your phone is spying. You go, oh, and I was like, I could never do that. But she's like, really? I love that. She'd love doing that. So much fun. So anyway, let's hit this. So Coin ATM Radar. This podcast is very proudly sponsored by Coin ATM Radar, the OGs of the crypto space, and also big B cashers / digital cashers. So when buying crypto with cash, an ATM is much more reliable and safer than meeting some random person in a random place. And unlike an exchange, which could indeed freeze your account, you do truly own all the crypto you buy. With Coin ATM Radar, you can find crypto ATMs and other services where you can buy or sell cryptos for cash, for physical cash, of course. On their website, search by coin, address if an ATM supports selling as well as buying, and you can also search by geographical area such as country, state, and city. And you can check and compare actual current fees at different ATMs. So if you do want to find out more, go to coinatmradar.com, which is coinatmradar.com, also known as .com. And the funny thing about that is, how long do you think it will be until any kind of ATM is sort of like a payphone? Like it's just almost not a thing anymore.
They'll last a little while longer. They're on the way out for sure. They charge you a lot more. Like getting free cash out is now becoming hard to do. Like you used to be like, oh, okay, usually it's free, and sometimes if the whatever bank's being an asshole, it's like $1. But now they're always charging you to withdraw cash, I've noticed. So that crackdown is definitely here. But I think the ATMs will last a little while longer. Depends where you are in the world, though.
Yeah, so
they definitely do want to get rid of physical cash, though. There's an agenda, and I guess we'll see what happens with these CBDCs. But thankfully, there seems to be a healthy pushback from people.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is like, cash is still, it's just not, it's more old school maybe in the US, but it's still around. You still will see someone, if someone says, can I just give you cash? You'd be like, all right, just put it in your pocket. Like every business takes it. It's fine, even if it's rarer. But then, in March, I went to the Netherlands for a crypto conference. And at that time, right when I was on my way over, there was some big event that knocked out all like the crypto cards and those that I was trying, those non-crypto cards that I used. They all just like went away, and I was like, oh shit, how am I gonna pay for stuff? And the gift card scene isn't super strong over there, so I was like, well, I'll just get some cash. But the problem is, it's almost an entirely like cashless society. Like nothing does cash. And there was a couple places I went for coffee, and then they're like, I'm like, hey, do you take cash? They're like, well, not officially, but maybe we can make it work. And so, but also it's funny is because I stayed over in the Haarlem area, over in like west of Amsterdam, and I was like the only like non-Muslim in that entire little area right there, and everyone there took cash. Like there's something about like immigrants understand what real money is to a certain extent. So I think that with like I almost think that first world Europeans especially are one of the hardest nuts to crack as far as crypto adoption, because the payments technology is decent. They're also like a little cucked. I don't know. Like it's just not really.
I mean, so it's like they had their own countries, their own presidents, and they're like, well, you like your government so much, would you like to have some more government? And so then they formed the EU, right? So
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe they'll invest, but like maybe they're in this tech, but like not really. And then you got like people in the U.S. have a lot of the same vibe, but just not nearly as much of like the hard statisms type thing. But then also just are more like innovative in terms of like the average person's more likely to buy into some weird new app or do something like that. So that's a little bit easier. But then like if you only could get the technological barrier done, like immigrant people are like that's just like right, that's like gold right there, because they're just used to using a different money than the one they grew up with maybe, and it's also just like whatever gets it done. And so you download this app, let me send you this thing, you can send it back home, and it's just like, all right, I get it, they totally get it. So that should be just like the digital nomad people. That's like the the nomad people, crypto is for nomads because you got like the digital nomad, which is like the privileged first world whatever, the national traveler person is like, oh, I get crypto, and then also like the not as privileged international traveler person also gets it, just like combines those things. Which, as to end this little brief rant, someone actually went and got sponsored by the Dash DAO back in 2017 or something, who ran a circus in the UK. So it was a bunch of circus performers who were like, hey, let's get in on crypto. And so they like literally they set a bunch of people up with wallets and took, crypto for tickets and all this stuff. And it actually turned out surprisingly well. And then the guy who put in a proposal and stuff, he like had like a top hat and a waxed curly mustache and stuff. And like, it was kind of wild. And then they did a great job and they just disappeared again. On the trapeze to the next place or whatever. But they literally said that like travelers have tons of banking issues. Like all these circus performers just don't have good banking access to banking things because they're always traveling, and then the geography, and they always get flagged and their accounts shut down. So it's like a perfect thing. So maybe crypto circus. Crypto's already kind of too much of a circus already though, huh?
Yeah, why didn't they kick off with that? If that went so well the first time, I mean, I understand maybe they were like, that's a classic problem that BCH has or has had. Not so much now, but it has had in the past. It's like you give people a chunk of cash and they're fired up while the cash is there. But as much as they might say, yeah, I love this ideology, this is sounding great, I'm so on board, hell yeah, like people will put on a big front when the paycheck is there or when it's coming in. But then if it's like that stops, it's not even like a matter of days until it's suddenly like, okay, on to the next thing. Like that was good, but we're not getting paid anymore. Next thing. They don't like stick with it.
I've noticed there's like two kinds really of that, and this was the good kind. The bad kind is exactly what you say. It's like the grifter. It's like the weird sketchy person who just wants to pretend like he likes all this stuff for the money, like the George Donnellys of the world. And then, or like the random like African person who just says, hello sir, I bring this great adoption, takes all these pictures with t-shirts, and then he's like, it's all fake kind of thing. And so there's that group, but then there's also the group of like, hey, this seems interesting, I want to try out. And then they do a great job, and then they're just like, thank you, and they just leave. And it's like, they're not dissatisfied, they just were like super, they just wanted to try this thing out, and it worked great, and then they just are on to better things or whatever. I'm like, but aren't you going to stay around? Don't you want more of this? Don't you want to do this again? And that's when you get like the people who just stick in the community forever, who are hardworking and good people.
So that's the valley, right? Like that's the whole thing, is like it's hard to get someone over that time to like try it once, and then it's hard to get them to stick with it in the long run. Those are the two big hurdles. There's not such a difference between somebody who's been in it for 3 months versus 5 years, but that gap between, oh yeah, I tried it once and it was going great, and like, no, I'm actually going to keep pushing this boulder up the hill. That's that, and it is a big ask, to be fair. So it's not obviously going to be for everyone. People are busy, all kinds of things are happening in the world, and it's just a case of priorities, right? You're not going to be everyone's top priority. So
yeah, no, there are waves of participation that come with oftentimes bull markets, right? There's a bull market, everyone and their uncle is involved. When their portfolios aren't looking so great, they get busy making money elsewhere, right? Like maybe stacking quietly, maybe not. Maybe they just go off to other things completely. But yeah, I mean, I guess, and that's why does it feel like alt season? I don't know. When we have more people involved, I guess more people getting into it, perhaps. But I know as a Litecoiner, last few years have been rough. I'm not gonna lie, and I saw a lot of people, get in the space but not stick around for more than a few years because of price performance, right? But a lot of people are coming back these days. I guess we have a lot of good things going recently with like all these treasury companies and whatnot. But
yeah. Tell us about LitVM. That's what I keep hearing about in LTC.
Yeah, well, LitVM, I mean, it's started by these guys, I think Lunar Digital Assets, Rock and Aztec co-founded it, and it's supposed to be, I think they said something around like end of the year. We're supposed to start seeing some projects being deployed. But essentially, yeah, layer 2 on top of Litecoin, basically tying into the ag layer and all these smart contracts on Ethereum. creating like a unified consensus on top of Litecoin's blockchain. So yeah.
So it's not a fork of BitVM, or it is?
I think, yeah, I believe it is. I believe it should be.
Probably not a pure fork, though, right? Like a modified thing.
I don't think so. But I believe it's the same guys that worked on BitVM, right? You got Iago there, right? Who's the lead dev for LitVM. Yeah, it should look like some kind of a wallet, right? Like a browser extension, essentially, that allows you to interact with all these smart contracts on various platforms. So yeah, that's pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard a lot of hype about that, and I was thinking that sort of makes sense because, like you said, I feel like that's the direction all of crypto is moving. I missed your space the other day, Joel, but we were talking about that too. Is like, can coins survive off like just being digital cash? And my opinion is no, absolutely not. The one and only coin that can not even sort of do that is BTC because it's the biggest and it has the network effect and the brand. Yeah, for now, exactly. But every other coin, just you've got to have powerful smart contract stuff. You've got to have people innovating at the financial layer. You've got to be bringing in more devs and more creativity like that. You can't get by on just wear cash. So I loved hearing that the Litecoin community was at least taking a stab in that direction. We'll see how it works out, but it's the right attitude, whether or not it produces results, you know?
For sure. And as well, they have a couple of treasury companies too, which are making big moves. There's this, what is it called? My Pharma. And they've invested over $100 million in their Litecoin treasury. So I think they have like 200,000 Litecoin or so. So you can gain exposure to Litecoin through their stock, which is MEIP.
So I have a question about that specifically. Because so is it just kind of like an ETF style thing where they hold a bunch of Litecoin and let the boomers kind of buy in? Or are they doing this Sailor style like balance sheet pyramid scheme that's going to blow up in everyone's face?
To be honest, I don't know. Like, are they going to keep issuing convertible bonds, right? I don't know. They're an oncology research company, so they create medicine for cancer. They're looking for a cure for cancer, for different types of cancer. I would imagine if the price of Litecoin skyrocketed, that they would reallocate some of those profits to R&D. I think it'd be pretty cool if they developed some kind of a cure and could attribute some of their success to the success of Litecoin. I think that'd be pretty dope. But who knows? I don't know. I know Charlie and David Schwartz are on. Charlie Lee, obviously, creator of Litecoin. They're on the board. David Schwartz is the director of Litecoin Foundation. And yeah, under their guidance, I mean, in terms of their crypto strategy, I think the company's going to they're going to make the right moves. Yeah. But I find it interesting. It's a way for Charlie to regain exposure to Litecoin, right? Indirectly. Where he divested famously in 2017 or 2016. No, 2017, sorry. And yeah, caught some flack for it. And now he's back in. Now he's got tons of exposure through this company.
He's kind of done there's been a little bit of that going on, and I don't really get along with Charlie very much personally, but he's a powerful figure of the Litecoin world, so I'm not going to talk too much shit. But like, the point is, he started Litecoin as a great experiment. I think 2011, right? It was like one of the very early cryptos, and then by 2016, it just was kind of abandoned a little bit, and it was at the end, like beginning of 2017. They kind of got back in, and then that famous run to the top kind of happened. And then he like dumped at the top, and then I guess I don't know exactly what he was doing after the dump, but then I guess he sort of floated away as less interested or whatever. But now he's like back in, so he seems like he kind of like comes and goes in the Litecoin world a little bit. Although I'm sure people who work with him behind the scenes probably know a lot more about like how involved he is in those in between periods, you know.
Yeah, no, and he definitely helped contribute to Bitcoin as well, right? With Segwit and whatnot, famously. First Lightning transaction occurred on the Litecoin network, right, with Jack Mallers, between Charlie and Jack. So, yeah, look, I think his heart's in the right place. People can be critical of what he's done in the past, for sure, but the truth is, what he created is eternal, right? And at some point,
Mm-hmm.
he built, like, the cake is kind of cooked, right? He built a network that works peer to peer, still does, it's still very effective. He's added things onto it, like MWeb, for example, which is great from a humanitarian perspective, right? It gives you confidential transactions on a Litecoin network on the L1 without there being any friction, really. All you need to do is download a wallet, which now there are wallets. Yeah, no, look, I think the criticisms are fair, but also if you understand that, like, yeah, when he sold it, he didn't really sell the top. Technically, I think his average sell price was around $205 US.
Mm-hmm.
It's not technically the top, but definitely at a high. And he, good for him, man. He made his bag. Like, he created the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like,
the thing. Is it's not really like as much as I think that like a hardcore sort of like maximalist mindset on some of these things is like a fuel that you need for projects. At the same time, I don't think it should be expected of anyone. Like this dude, he made a different version of Bitcoin, did a bunch of important testing kind of on it, pushed it to crazy heights, and like also as far as like he was very shrewd about getting it listed on just about every exchange, so that if Bitcoin's not available, or the network sucks, you can just switch right to like everywhere. You can just switch right to Litecoin instead, and that's probably what happened with the payment volume. But it's like I don't think saying that he's been inconsistently involved is necessarily a criticism, and I don't think he owes people consistency. He just people do what they want,
Well, it's just a unique model, because everybody sort of observes. And it's funny because all these people are just people at the end of the day. So it's funny when you spend some time with them or something and you kind of get their shadow that they're casting is bigger than the reality of like, yeah, man, I was just trying to get like dinner this one time, But you like compared to like Vitalik, who has just been pumping it out on ETH. Like, as far as I know, he's not really had any major holidays, or to the extent that he does, he just quietly kind of does it. He doesn't make like a big, like, I'm out of ETH and then I'm back into ETH.
It's so bad that whenever he takes a picture with a girl, ETH just dumps. They're like, oh no.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I agree. I can see it though, man. Anytime he's getting a girlfriend, if he's busy, like my confidence is way. I don't have any ETH to dump, but if I had some, I would definitely trade that index. Where's the prediction market? Can I invest in like Vitalik's girlfriend stocks that just auto short ETH when a new picture comes out? I would buy that so fast.
But then the thing
is, a great idea.
The manipulation could be crazy. Like the amount of like, what if he like longed it or whatever, or whatever. What if he did the opposite and then just like AI generated a picture with a new girl, just put it out there, then everyone gets wrecked automatically. Like there's ways of doing that. That's the thing about these like gambling things, like any kind of leverage and any kind of prediction market stuff, you better be ready to lose all that money. It's not like, so like with crypto, they say, don't buy more than you can afford to lose. I don't 100% agree with that. I don't have anything that isn't crypto, so I'm really fucked if it goes to zero. Like everything goes to zero. But I understand like risk mitigation, but like if you have a reliable, decent crypto, you should be ready for it to tank, but not go to zero necessarily. But with any of this leverage stuff or prediction market, you should be ready to lose all of it shortly, like not with time to get out of it. It's like worse than Terra Luna's collapse, like quicker, boom, just gone. So
worse than Terra Luna?
Terra Luna took a few days at least, because I remember it crashed to like 40 some, and then it went back up to like 80, and I had
a really nice dead cat bounce.
Yeah, it did have a nice dead cat bounce because it was around 80 or so, 80 cents per dollar on that, and I thought about getting, but I'm like, well, if it's back up to 80, maybe he is deploying more capital, and I should be steady. So I'm like, well, baby. And like, I just had a small bit on the side. It wasn't anything crazy, but then it like started going down again and stuff. And I was like 20 cents on the dollar. Like, I'm going to get rid of everything I have. And let's just call it loss. And like, everyone's like, dude, you got out with 20 cents on the dollar. That's amazing. I'm like, that's still like a lot of like not having money. You know? And to be fair, the only reason I had any Terra Luna at all, any UST, was because I was in the Binance USD Thorchain pool and they were doing like 92% APY or something. So I just like made a big fucking bag. And I was just like, I might as well diversify my profits. And then all my profits got wrecked. And so I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm a break-even guy. I guess this is what I'm assigned to, right?
Does anyone know if Novigrad still has that tattoo, or did he get it removed?
I think probably still has it. I saw somebody posting about it the other day. I don't know. I don't know enough about tattoos to know like what's involved in getting it removed. I know you can do it, but it's like expensive and painful, I think, or something, you know. Yeah, maybe he's just like, I gotta ride it out. Like sometimes you just gotta be like,
it's what it is. Point, I think it's safe to cover it up, you know. Like put something. I'd like
to get another tattoo over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the best thing to do, because even if you get it removed, you can still kind of see it. It's really faded, but getting it covered up is probably the best solution. Just erase that memory from him completely, you know.
Which, speaking of old
create a new story.
Speaking of old scam
pump
iconography, it was, I can't remember if it was the Litecoin conference or if it was the Bitcoin one this year, but someone was, or might have been Consensus. It was one of those big crypto conferences this year. Some guy was running around with a BitConnect shirt, and I'm just like, you know, like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I'm just like, oh, like, you know that obviously it's not a pro BitConnect person. You know someone trying to have a laugh, but also how many
it's
of
not Carlos Matos. Yeah.
No, I would have him on my podcast. I totally would.
Absolutely.
Like, I just want to hear it. Be like, did you know? Were you caught up in it? Did you make money? Are you going to prison? Where are your whereabouts right now? Call it in an airstrike. I don't know. But like, it's funny how many of the kids these days don't even know what BitConnect was. They're just like, what? Like, you weren't there. That was the OG of the scams.
Oh, time cleans all this stuff. That's really, my mate and I have this joke, right? Which is when we were in university, and I lived in an apartment with 4 other guys, right? And we had a couple of house parties. We had this like one bean bag that, of course, people were like spilling drinks on, and like food, and like tons of different people were sitting on it and all that sort of stuff. And then one time somebody said like, hey, do you guys ever like clean this bean bag or something? And my friend just goes, no, don't worry, mate. Time will clean it. And that's exactly it. The beanbag never got cleaned, but soon enough people forgot and they just moved on. And then it was clean again. Then everyone was happy to sit on it. So that's
they just called it the dirty beanbag.
No, it was clean. Time cleaned it every single time.
Stick it out in the sun for a couple of days, yeah.
Exactly. So if you just wait long enough, it's all good. And that's the same thing. Whatever these scams are, like, there's a scam this year, next year, whatever. 5 years later, nobody knows those scams. They know the new scams, and it just continues, you know? That's why the best projects, like Litecoin, like BCH, they got to earn their stripes, like, by being there decade after decade till you have generations of adopters that are like, no, we're on the same page about that. They can have a laugh about something else, but they're like, oh, do you remember that? Oh, wait, this is still around? Shit. Like, that's when you're making progress, you know?
Yeah, and that's a good theme with this whole episode too, about like episode 200. It's not that it's such the only cool thing about it is just to still be there after a while. And it's same thing with like all these older blockchain projects. Like, I can't think of a single, well, I don't know any new blockchains super well anyway, but even the ones I kind of have heard good things about, I'm just like, we'll see if you're around in a few years. Like, I almost don't want to research something until it's like at least 5 years old and like not crashing during the 5-year anniversary, you know? So it's just like, that's the Dino coin dilemma is you kind of think you want the latest tech, but then at the same time, you don't want you want a proof that it works, that you can keep it going, but also you want you kind of don't want to lose those original founding things. And I guess that's the thing where like the Satoshi's vision stuff, like the Bitcoin vision got so many things right, so many fundamentals right, that I kind of feel like it's like you have to, even in 2025, if you're creating a from scratch blockchain, you have to start with the Bitcoin white paper, and anything you want to do differently has to be like a conscious decision. You have to be like, yeah, we'll do this different, we'll do this different, but like the basic stuff like decentralization, good coin supply, like distribution and some things like that, like people,
Security.
yeah, people forgot, or sound economic principles of like, economic alignment. Which reminds me, maybe it's a good time to talk about the Monero mining problems, right? So I've covered it before. I think it was last week's show. I mentioned it more, but um, it's just like any proof of work coin. Proof of work is very well understood. Kind of the incentive alignment is pretty good when you start to have like ASICs, especially. But then mining centralization sucks and all these other things that are actual problems. But like then when you go no ASICs, every coin that had like no ASICs has been like 51% tacked to shit. And one of my highlights of this year was, lots of highlights of this year actually, but in Amsterdam at ETH I met Ruben Yap in person for the first time and hung out with him. He's the project steward for Firo. And Firo is called Zcoin back in the day, one of the first big private Z coins. And they copied a lot of Dash tech in terms of like they have master nodes and instant transactions and all those kinds of things. And what they ended up doing is they ended up getting rid of their ASICs, right? Kicking their ASICs to the curb. And it wasn't long after they did that they actually got 51% attacked. So like, and then immediately afterwards, they were actually doing it before they got attacked. As soon as that hit, they actually they implemented chain locks, which is the anti 51% attack thing that Dash has. They were in the process of implementing it actually when they got 51% attacked. So it's like, for the headlines, it was like terrible, but then like they fixed it, and he basically just said like going ASIC proof or ASIC resistant was like the worst thing that we did, kind of thing, because first of all, we had miners that were like invested in the project. They'd come into community forums, they'd participate, they do all this kind of stuff. Miners are already kind of mercenary, but at least if they're like on your algo with your ASICs, then they're fine. They're kind of friendly. But then once they're just complete bandits after that. Like if you get rid of that, then they're just like mine anything, sell immediately, just attack the chain to like steal from an exchange, just anything. It's just like, oh my gosh. So I don't know when like Monero started to have ASICs, not super publicly confirmed, but it was kind of an open secret that someone had ASICs, and then they changed to RandomX, and the mining then therefore was like very ASIC resistant, and Monero split into like four. There's like four forks, like right at that point, and they all went to like zero since then, right? They're all crap, but then that's when the problem started. So I also have some. I'm pretty sure the reason why they switched. There's a lot of reasons, right? Some of it was cultural, but a lot of the community appealed to like more criminal elements, and there was a lot of people who were using like botnets and stuff to like hijack other people's machines and stuff to mine Monero for them. And so when ASIC started to come around, that became not profitable really. And so they're like, let's switch it so that the criminals can keep on doing criminal things. And then unfortunately, like again, there's a lot of like not 100% confirmed of all this, but like I hear a lot of rumors. I've heard about botnets since 2016 being like a big thing. I've seen a lot of people talk about using botnets and stuff and promote it. And then I know that with ASICs, you can't really do that. And I know when they got rid of the ASICs again, like as soon as they got like ASICs cropping up, then they just killed it again. And it just all makes sense. So now it's an interesting situation, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, you have
loving
all these cloud compute companies, right, that offer cloud compute and at discounts at nighttime rates, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting challenge because there's how many data centers full of CPUs, right, full of Threadrippers that you could rent at a discount at night, right? Whereas, the regular person, if you want to buy a Threadripper, it's out of most people's budgets. A decent CPU for mining Monero, I think, is like $700 US. You're not going to ROI on that thing within like 3 or 4 years, right? So the mining incentives are kind of broken there. When it's really affordable for large groups to coordinate an attack like this using, I guess, like cheap CPU compute power that they're renting. I don't know where Cubic is getting it. They have their own incentive structure, right, with their own coin, their own token, giving bonuses and whatnot. But yeah, it just goes to show. I mean, the security budget is important. It's probably one of the most important things in a blockchain. Bitcoin's got a decent one, Bitcoin Cash too. They're able to adjust, and you're still profitable on Bitcoin Cash, or almost as profitable as you are mining Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, it depends on the day. Like sometimes it's 1 or 2% extra, sometimes it's 1 or 2% lower, but yeah, it's fine. And I mean, BCH is so blessed. Like one of the many reasons I love BCH is, of course, from the algorithm and all the money. Whenever there's an ordinal scam or anything like that going on in BTC, and people are just paying these ridiculous fees, is money that is going to the miners when they're building out infrastructure, they're improving their setups, whatever they're doing. That's all. Like BCH gets that for free. That's the BTC community literally paying to build our mining infrastructure for us. So I love that.
No, it's a surprisingly robust ecosystem for sure. Like I did not see this coming, honestly. Like when they forked, like I'm increasingly surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it could only happen with Bitcoin, as far as not only just such a large community, I guess, but such a original community to everything. Because like everyone in crypto was a Bitcoiner as well as whatever else they were doing. And not sure if it's still the same way today, maybe a little bit, but like everyone was both. And so there's just a lot of that stuff that's still there when you jettison it off, that's still, there's other Bitcoin stuff too. And I just think that like the subsequent, like Ethereum Classic as well as the subsequent BCH forks, there's just no appetite for any of that. Like I kind of feel like there could be only one fork, and it's just like no one else has anything like that. Like you do have other projects that, like for example, Pivx and Fear are both forked from Dash, for example, but they're not trying to be like Dash Classic or something. They're their own thing. Whereas like it's the only coin that can have like a classic one. Whereas like BSV doesn't seem to be doing super well these days. I haven't checked out.
They're finished. They're out of the top 100. They're like doing worse and worse. To be fair, they're still like 20 places. I looked the other day. They're like 117 or something like that. eCash is 140. So that'll be like such a funny moment if eCash either rises or BSV falls. If eCash flips BSV, that will be, for the very, 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 very niche edge of crypto, that will be like a classic moment of like, wait, you actually can do it. You actually can win with a minority fork if you just outlast them.
Well, yeah, I mean, not all minority forks are created equal, I guess, but like technologically and like everything, I think there's way more reason to have an eCash than a BSV when you factor in all the Craig stuff, all the 51% attacks, all the other crap, and so I don't know. It is funny to still see people who are like Craig worshippers in 2025. There's still a few, and it's just
less and less though. It's a critical mass. It's all gonna die at some point. Like at some point, when do they just shut off the servers? That's the thing. There's like probably like, I don't know. There's like 3 nodes. There used to be like 8 BSV nodes. I think now maybe there's 2 or something probably. And at some point, the last guy is just going to be like, I can't be bothered with this anymore, and then pull plug, and then that's it, But I mean, blockchains are pretty resilient. There's always somebody who, like, if nobody cares as well, you're already resilient by default because you can just spin it up on an old copy after a month. Nobody even notices that anything happened. So
long as one person keeps mining, right? One node stays up. Yeah.
Yeah, and as long as there's like an exchange somewhere that people can like exchange the coin for something.
You don't need an exchange. Like you look at coin market cap, there's like 10,000 coins. Like the bottom 5,000 are not even on any exchanges or anything.
Do you guys know about Fairbricks? Fairbricks is the first coin. Term. Yeah, it's the first coin Charlie Lee created before Litecoin.
Oh, right.
And for whatever reason, it didn't take off. So he created this, I guess, in 2011 at some point. Well, people were mining it, and one dude, despite the price tanking and it not being listed anywhere, kept mining it. And at some point this year, it got put onto an exchange, and this one dude has been mining ever since. And he's
dumped on
it
everyone.
exploded. It exploded when it got listed, and he's now doing pretty well as far as I understand. So yeah, it's crazy how like a chain that people thought was dead, but actually in fact was still being mined by a single dude, came back from the dead essentially.
So
Pretty
fun.
wild. And unfortunately it's because it's got a Genesis block that starts before Litecoin. It can't be merge mined like the rest of the stuff. So it's its own blockchain. There's no possibility for it to be merge mined.
Can Litecoin be merge mined into this coin?
Yes, I think so.
That would be hilarious. It's like
That would be fun.
Imagine Charlie being like, "Guess what? We're going back to 2010, not 2011. It's not early enough. We're merge mining with the source."
I don't think anyone will want that to happen. I don't think any miners would vote for that. I don't think that's. But technically, I think it is possible. You're right.
Yeah. Does this coin? I mean, I guess this is a stupid question, seeing as how the improved version was Litecoin. But like, does this coin do anything?
It's similar. Does it do anything special? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
Does it have ASICs? That would be hilarious if there was an old ASIC. Just
I think
or
so.
a new one. That's even funnier. If someone like the first ASIC is like 15 years in, or whatever.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Yeah.
This one guy, has he been like advocating for it, or did he do any protocol upgrades or anything like that, or he's just been keeping the lights on, you know, and then the
I think he's been keeping the lights on, keeping a low profile as well. Yeah, especially since the pump. I'm pretty sure he just wants to chill out now. You know, like he's pretty happy. Yeah, no, I'm not sure how much value the chain actually has these days. I know it had a pump and then, you know, it flattened out, dumped a bit, right? Now it's chilling. Me talking about it right now might probably make, you know, some people look at it. Who knows? I don't have any. I don't want to pump this thing. I'm just telling you guys a story right over here.
Do you have
But
any?
who knows? No, I don't. No.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. But you know what's funny about that is I think there could be some value behind that. I'm not even saying about like novelty value of just pumping and dumping this thing, but of like building an actual tech roadmap on top of this that's like modern and viable, because nothing else has like a Genesis block like 2011 or earlier. Like that's just so rare. And it just, if you could be like, we are, in fact, I think that could be, this is the new, so ridiculous with like the degen stuff. This is the new ICO, right? The new whatever is you find some old proof of work coin that is like from way back in the day that just like doesn't do anything but has been limping along and like not dying, and then you just get VC funding, you like mine all the tokens and buy whatever you can find, and then just start from scratch. It's like you literally launch a brand new chain, but you're like, hey, guess what?
necromancy.
Yeah, but because you camp on this old domain, basically, this old blockchain has been there forever. You'd be like, our Genesis block is, and people like, that's like the better launch pad than launching a chain from scratch, is just launching on an old chain that's kind of abandoned. And just like, we're going to put smart contracts, we're going to do a hybrid system, we're going to add ZK privacy, we're going to do all this stuff, and this is our thing. And it's just as easy to like get all, not just, but 90% as easy to get a big bag of the coins, because no one else is mining, and someone has like, you know, you put $40 down, you get like half the supply, and then
you sell this fair distribution narrative type of thing, like after you've mined everything.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking, what's the advantage of this? But that's a good one. It's been fairly distributed, been around. It's like the pubs, you know, with, you know, established 1692 on them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have that, our blockchain, been here since 2010. We've been grinding the whole time, guys. Like,
yeah.
So I was wondering if you, since we start with this topic, just to bring it back, what do you think is the solution to this 51% attack on Monero?
Oh yeah. Well, before we get into that, let me just throw up a couple things I actually did see on the screen here, which are fun. So first of all, Come From Beyond, who was the co-founder of IOTA, by the way, and then he got kind of run out for being crazy, and then he started this other thing, clearly still crazy. He said, it would be nice if bounties for my head were postponed until Cubic Pool finishes mining Monero, because if you make the quorum upset, the Monero price will go to zero, and I'll be unable to prevent this. So basically, he's alluding to the fact that he's had like bounty-based death threats on him, which doesn't sound that far-fetched, because I had the same thing in 2016 when I wrote some Cointelegraph article about some darknet market going down, and they got really pissed off, and they started some Monero bounty to have me offed. So there's precedent. But it's just like, all right, it looks like they're still the same. Another post that he put up, he posts a screenshot from this guy. He says, "Hello, I'm the owner of the Maris botnet. What exactly do I need to attack? Can you provide more info?" And he says, "A guy claiming to be the owner of the Maris botnet is attacking Cubic site and trying to stop Monero mining. This is so cool to get such high-quality stress test service for free." So literally, it's like... it's getting hot, right? And there's just people, an army of people running out there saying, it's not a 51% attack, it's all FUD. And like, it's complete like counterattack mode during this thing. But anyway, before we go on to the solution stuff, any comments on that stuff?
I've been loving it, to be honest, because, yeah, I think I said earlier, I just thought it was so funny that some Monero accounts kind of said something a week or two ago. I only saw it very briefly in passing, like, this is FUD, this is not, people are just bringing this up. And then, of course, a week later, it turns into a real issue. And that is when I'm paying attention, right? Because I'm in this situation too with BCH, where if something happens and I'm putting out information about it, I want to be held accountable to that, like when there was the Phoenix mining situation on BCH, which was not the same. We didn't get 51% attack, but there was suddenly like mining hash rate coming in, and people were like, holy crap, is this going to turn into something? And I remember, of course, I was not going to downplay that and be like, no, this is nothing, in the short term, like overconfident, because then like it's much better to be conservative, right? If you say, okay, let's see what happens, and then it turns out something happens, well, then you're vindicated and you were just pragmatic. Whereas if you say, no, don't worry about it, guys, and then it turns into a big problem, you're obviously an idiot. Why were you so confident about it to begin with? But they don't, those same people who put out those stories, they then don't go back and say, shit, guys, I got this one wrong and here's why, and do a mea culpa. No, they just move on to the next thing, and when you see that, I'm always like, all right, well, that's just downranked you like quite a lot in my personal estimation. As there's nothing you can avoid being. You can be inaccurate, that's one thing, but to also be disingenuous to top it off, like that's just what's going on here. So I personally,
it's hard to apologize for some people.
Yeah, for everyone. It's not like any. Well, I guess it depends how big your ego is, but that's the thing. Like, if you can't publicly take an L on it, maybe you should just learn next time to be quiet, and not be dismissing all this stuff,
Well, also it's just with the L, like instead of not taking the L, it's not even not taking the L. It's now like going to like DDoS attacks and death threats and stuff. And it's just like, oh, okay, listen. Like, I do think it would be hilarious if people who are initiating these types of threats, like I watched some video, it's about rotted my brain is these days. I watched a movie called Hitman, which is a relatively recent release. And I don't think it was an incredible movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it was entertaining because it was based on the largely true story of some guy who worked for the FBI who was a pretend hitman. He's just like a hitman phishing person, where he would just literally like respond to ads looking for a hitman and meet up with people in person and pretend to be the kind of hitman, like being like get all makeup on and pretend to be the kind of hitman that would be convincing to this person, and then they would he'd wear a wire and they'd admit to be like, yeah, kill the guy for me, and then they get arrested. And he got like 80 people who were like a bunch of idiots who were just like, oh, I'm gonna hire a hitman off of Craigslist. It's like pretty funny. But my point is, I can easily imagine that situation being here where they're like, oh, let's raise up some money on the dark net, man, and like take these guys out. And then they like hire a hitman, and it turns out the hitman is a Fed, like they all are. And then it just people start going to jail over like trying to fight back, or that'd be funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I also love the fact that for years and years and years, I've been dealing with, little Monero commenters on my threads going, ASICs is not secure, blah, blah, blah. We all want CPU mining is so much better, da, da, da. And you can explain to them, and I have several times before I eventually stopped. I think I even wrote something in the FAQ about it, so I could just link it to them at the same time. But they basically like telling you CPUs are the best. You got to democratize the hashing to everyone, etc. And you're just like, no, that just means you're open to attack from, especially now with AI, it's even worse than it was before to be like CPU mining. But they're convinced, and there's nothing you can tell them. And then sometimes it's like, all you need to do is wait by the river, and the bodies of your enemies will float by, right? Like, it's literally just like, okay, you are all telling me how great this was. Now you're dealing with the consequences. I hope you've learned your lesson, although I doubt it. So either way, I don't mind. On that, I feel thoroughly vindicated. So that was also a nice one to see. So this whole thing has been very entertaining for me.
It definitely has. And by the way, I'm just DMing you both a link to this GitHub page about potential fixes for this that the Monero people are working on right now. But while you're looking at that thing before I put it on the screen, I do notice that this is not just, it might be stronger in Monero than maybe other communities. There's a lot of communism in crypto, whether people understand or not. I think part of that has to do with I know the open source nerd world, which for me is a radical freedom world, and for me it's anarcho-libertarian, does get a little anarcho-communist too sometimes. It depends on, you kind of see both sides a little bit, and there's these concepts of fair. To my mind, a fair launch is the only reason I want a fair launch of a cryptocurrency personally, when I really think about it, is because that I want it to be decentralized and resilient. I just want the supply to be in as many hands as possible, so that it's not just one rich guy's pet project who then could get bored or get compromised. But I don't mind if the founder gets filthy rich and no one else gets rich. It's the tech is the tech. So I have that's a very capitalist attitude, I guess. But so the only reason I like the fair launch is to give the actual project more resilience and value. Whereas there's a lot of ideas it was not fairly launched, not everyone can get it, and it's just I need some too. It's just we'll buy it from people who already have it. It's no, it's not. It's just very I wanted to get cut in on the action kind of thing. And you see a lot of this stuff with the nano community too, which, to be completely honest, the nano community is also not nearly as anarcho-capitalist kind of thing. They're not nearly as libertarian in the capitalist sense. They're much more green and fair and these kinds of things. So it's not as much of a criticism of them, because it's kind of who they are, right? But all these things about mining, you're just giving away and sucking and rent seeking. The miners are rent seeking, and everything should be free, no fees. Everything should be free, and I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I think a lot of these fairness ideas in the Monero world have affected the security model. Whereas I think that the security model of proof of work originally, definitely a proof of stake, is just this works. It's incentive aligned, and it economically keeps the network secure. And you can decide if you like proof of work or proof of stake better, the way they approach it, but it's still kind of utilitarian and sound. Whereas I kind of feel the ASIC resistant stuff, some of it is you don't want to be centralized, and I understand those arguments, but then some of them are more just fairness based. Everyone should be able to mine, and it's just otherwise it's the greedy capitalist that and it's it's just like my dad and his stupid tie and his fuck you dad. I want to. It's a lot of that same the more punk than cipher, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of those kinds of attitudes, and so now we're hit with this oh shit, the price is tanking a lot, over the last
Maybe
month.
my dad had a point. That's the problem, is when people have all these like, well, we're gonna screw the man and like do it our own way, and then it's like, okay, you reap what you sow, and then at a certain point you kind of be like, maybe dad had a point.
Which is, in my opinion, hilarious. Yeah, maybe dad had a point. Who's your daddy? But so yeah, let's throw up on the screen some of these solutions here. And by the way, Kayaba Nerve, or Luke Parker, who created this thing, or at least shared it, I didn't see if he created it, is a very smart guy, and almost everything cool going on in the Monero world. Maybe that's unfair to say, but a lot of the cool stuff is because of him, because he's very smart and has done a lot of good hard work. So a lot of these things have to do with, and by the way, the 10 block lock, apparently, I think if you send, and everyone should correct me if I'm wrong on this one. As far as I'm aware, when you send a Monero transaction, in order for the privacy system to not be easy to, in order for the decoys not to be easily ruled out and harm your privacy harmed, I think you have to wait 10 blocks before you have to re-spend the change, for example. So if I send you that 10 blocks, that's like what, 20 minutes, 25? I think it's 20 minutes, right? 2-minute block time.
2-minute blocks, yeah.
Yeah, because like Litecoin is like 2.5 minute, and so is Dash at the blockchain level, I guess. But I think Monero is 2. So that's like a 20-minute before you can do anything. Anyway, that's just what that means. But anyway, we have all these things where they have a finality layer, like a stake finality layer that they're doing. Multiple block production algorithms, which has historically been a notable vector attack. That's kind of what Digibyte does. Digibyte has like a mix of like 5 different algorithms or something. Some of them have ASICs, some don't. And it sounds like a cool thing. I have not looked into it enough to evaluate that. Local proof of work, I guess, I'm not exactly sure what that is. I guess I have to read up on that. GPU, ASICs, and then merge mining with a larger network. And this is where Animal starts to get hard.
That was one of my proposed solutions. Like, just merge mine with Litecoin, guy.
Yes.
Then look at the comment though. The comment is so good. Makes us a vassal state to the glorious Bitcoin/Litecoin empire. They don't want to be a vassal state, man.
That is
hilarious. I like that you extended them that offer.
Vassal state. But like, I guess I'd have to see more detail into the objection, because what does that mean other than you just don't like it that you're sharing security? Like, do you fear going to be attacked? Do you fear something else? Anyway, so the vassal.
It's about ego, mate. Then that's it. Your whole community. You are literally the plebs. You know. You are.
And that's the problem. It has to be about security, right? And like, honestly, merge mining with Litecoin would make it quite secure. I'd love to see it personally.
Yeah.
If there was a vote on this, I don't have any Monero exposure, but I would maybe get some, at that point.
Yeah. So require blocks to be signed by miner key. Enforces solo mining. There's still ways around that. They might go that way. I don't know. Require miners sample historical data. Nothing to improve. Yeah. So basically, it'd be interesting. I've not looked through all this discussion. There's like a ton of it, as it turns out. Of course, that's the other thing. I see like Fluffy Ponies in the comments there, and I guess he has been a very strong figure in the Monero community for a while. But he's also a literal Interpol informant, and like, I think that they're just like, nah, he's our guy though. Like they just, It's like, I got the documents that say he is, and it's like, no. All right.
But so, okay.
deal with your informant guy.
But I noticed that there isn't an option just to block Kubic's node, Kubic's mining IP address. Is that not a possibility?
Couldn't they just switch the IP address? Like, if they did that anyway, so
I don't know.
They just get a VPN
so.
or something.
They would just they would switch IP, but like, is there some way to fingerprint that pool and like, yeah. Obviously, they could switch IP address. It wouldn't be as simple as just putting an IP block on them, but
yeah, I don't think so, because I think that
is the cops coming to get you, man? You were just talking.
The sound of the police. Oh, they caught the assassin trying to get you for daring to suggest merge mining with the vassal state or whatever. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty. I think that they can't block the IP address of the pool because you could just mine from a different pool. I think what you'd have to do is just fork the chain, just mine on a different chain or something like that, and then I don't know. It just there's it's just too insecure at that level. Like it needs something else, and I see a lot of people talking about proof of stake. Being or a hybrid, not full proof of stake, but doing a hybrid model, which again, that's the Dash way, that's the Decred way, that's the Xano way, that's one of these days maybe the eCash way, that's the Firo way, that's a bunch of these things are doing that, and like I do think it makes sense for like to do it that way, considering the situation they're in. Like if you've had ASICs all along, have a robust ASIC ecosystem, kind of stick with that maybe, but like if you don't have any ASICs, you're gonna get screwed. Probably this is it. But then again, proof of stake is super controversial or any kind of proof of stake in that community particularly. Some of this is like, oh, it's like who has the most money, just like my dad. I'm sure there's some of that stuff going on. But it's funny, the largest Monero influencer right now, a fellow, or one of them, it's hard to tell, who goes by the name of Maverick, is saying like, I'm going to leave the project if we do this, if we do any proof of stake. And the funny thing about it is not only is he the largest influencer, but he's also a completely unironic hater of a certain Semitic peoples and a supremacist of someone who has a shade of skin similar to the way I look right now, and thinks that Mr. H-Bomb, the dictator of a certain country in Western Europe or Central Europe in the 1940s, was unironically a hero. So, like, maybe you need to go to proof of stake just to jettison this guy. Like, I don't know. It's pretty wild,
Well, I had a look. I don't know what all this chat is, like you said. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of chat that trying to, figure it out. Even like 1 hour ago, like it's all going off like right now. But I just had a quick scroll, and my eye immediately caught there was somebody already talking about BCH rejecting the proof of stake hybrid stuff with eCash and the 10 block checkpoint that BCH already has, and then there's people talking about ABC and what they've done. So it's kind of interesting to see how among these cryptos, every project does watch each other project very logically, right? And you're never up to date with everything that's going on in every other coin. So it's kind of like at the fringes, what any one coin is working on then sort of becomes a little bit known or a little bit like of a curiosity to another coin, because especially if you're in a crisis like they are in now, then you got to like look for some solutions. That's when you're kind of like, okay, we hate these guys. We're always talking trash about these other coins, but maybe they're onto something. Like, it's not like you can go to the no coiners and be like, hey guys, what solutions have you got for us? Because they don't know shit about it. They don't have anything. They don't have, their alternative is fiat. So
yeah,
kind of got to go looking around. Like,
so real quick on that, the 10 block checkpoint thing is still in place, right? Or has something been changed?
For BCH, yeah.
Yeah. So that just means that there's no 10 block reorgs or more. It's just like every 10 blocks.
Yeah, it's like proof of work within 10 blocks, and then at 10 blocks you say, okay, this is obviously a hostile attack. Like,
yeah, so I wonder, first of all, I wonder if that window, just spitballing, right, could be reduced. Like, what if you did a 5 block? Like, do you ever get 5 block reorgs that?
Well, no. I don't think there's been ever more than maybe like 2 blocks, or maybe even 3 blocks would be an extreme case. I don't think I've ever heard of that though. So it's set. It's not supposed to ever be hit. It's the whole point is that it's far enough that it's obviously like this is 100% a malicious attack. This could not just be accidentally it happened.
So like Cubic did like a 7 block reorg, right? Which at that point that was, or 6 or 7. I've heard both, but at that point that's a level.
2-minute blocks. That's 6 minute, 2 minute blocks, right? So that's like 12 minutes of equivalent time, whereas BCH would be 10 minute blocks. So it's
100
like
minutes, like an hour and a half, almost a little over an hour.
Yeah. So it's already like exponentially more than this Monero attack.
Yeah, so I mean that solves massive chain reorgs, right? If you do something like that, it doesn't solve Monero's problem of anyone can mine with any consumer grade hardware easily and start disrupting things. So that's where you would want some sort of a stake type thing, or you'd want an easier way for people to all participate in security. And here's the thing that I've been obviously like bearish about pure proof of work security in some ways, but one thing that I don't think is adequately studied is the potential security, meaning like idle ASICs that aren't running or idle miners that aren't running because it's not profitable. But when there's an attack, just like when the with the BSV hash war, all of a sudden they just all come online and come to the defense. And as far as I know, that's happening in Monero right now. There's a lot of people who are just coming out of the woodwork to like start mining machines, so like get Cubics percentage way down. So like
That's pretty sick, actually. Yeah.
yeah, I mean it hits all the feelies, that's for sure. It's like, yeah, right, we're going to war, defend the homeland, you know, it gets all those kinds of things. But I mean, I don't know, it'd be interesting to study.
No, there's I've been doing some research, and there's something called gut packs or goo packs. Have you heard of this? It's a mining client. Allows you to mine P2Pool pretty easily. Instead of setting up a node and all that stuff, you can just download this piece of software. I can link it to you if you want. Because yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great if Monero got out of this without having to do anything dramatic.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, here's the thing. I guess, and this is in defense, like I've been shitting on ASIC resistant POW the entire time. I'm going to say the other side now, which where it shines is crypto is a social technology, and it's the amount of people that are involved is what give it its power. The community's conviction, all this stuff. And there's nothing quite like ASIC resistant mining to be able to leverage the strength of your community in times of need. Whereas like if you take an ASIC thing, oh my gosh, let's defend the chain. If someone has ASICs, they can turn them on, but that's just kind of like the professionalized miners. You can't get the community going. And if in like a proof of stake thing, you can get the community involved. Like you can all pool your stake together. Like what happened with the Hive Steam takeover thing. There was a lot of that going on, but like it's also like people's stake is already like deployed. Usually they already have the money they have, and it's like there's only so much scrambling on exchanges to buy another big bag if you have some and like run. You know, it's not as participatory, right? But so like with, you know, so like if I needed to defend Monero tomorrow, like or today, I could boot up a few random computers and laptops and install their botnet software, whatever the hell they use, right? And just like point like a tiny little bit of hash rate, and then talk to other people and say, hey, do you want to run your spare computers here? Do this too. It's like it's an easier like social like defense mechanism. And so I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's almost like you want, but the problem is you can't just do that all the time. You can't have an insecure network until everyone runs to defend. It's not like
right.
It's kind of like leaving your front door open, but just have like an army of people with spears. Like, oh, give a spear to all your children. They run out and
it's not sustainable.
Yeah, you can't do that every time. Like you need to just have a locked door. So maybe a hybrid system would be cool, because then you have to the stake is just really hard to attack. And then once you attack the stake, then you have to 51% attack the old school way. And so even if both systems fail, then you can get all the little children with their spears out, you know, i.e. just go start mining, you know, on consumer grade hardware, and then just defend that part of it while you figure out why the stake part failed. And like, but then that's like a very rare thing. Whereas this could just, Cubic could just keep on bothering these people like for, you know, years. Or it couldn't be Cubic, it could be some other rando, or it could be like we've seen the effect on the Monero price of these kinds of attacks. It could just be some whale who's just like, I'm going to open up a short, and now he's going to like rent some hardware and just do that. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh. And like, especially if he has
deploy even more capital. Yeah.
Yeah. And if he has like a few like monetized X accounts, or, you know, runs a crypto newspaper or something like that, and like the clicks from the drama will then pay. You get some, like, it's not that infeasible of a thing for people to just manufacture future attacks. So they do have to solve this at some point, in my opinion.
Yeah, let's talk about the price. I love this topic, you know, because I saw you know, Bitcoin Mechanic, who's been getting wrecked with his filters drama the other day. Anyway, he was talking about you know, all the problems in BTC, but he was talking about Monero and saying, oh, look, these guys are getting 51% attacked, and they should have just basically immediately gone to zero because it's proof that it's centralized and there's no value to it, which I think is a bit of an extreme take.
Yeah.
But if you have a look at so I'm looking at the price chart now. So on the 26th of May, yeah, they were at $417, which was well before any of this. But then if you jump forward to like the 15th of July, they were at $350, and they're now at $237, and it's just been basically like down off a cliff that whole time. So even if the attack has only been going on a couple of days, like it's really hurting the price, like especially as it goes on day after day after day. And they're now out of the top 30. They were, I don't know, maybe even inside the top 20, and now they're out of the top 30. So even if they haven't gone instantly to zero, like the price has been hurting hard as a result of these attacks, which is probably making the situation even worse for them, right?
Yeah, and like I don't like that necessarily, but what I do like is going back to a price fundamentals correlation. Like there was a time when we had that, and then the meme coin era hit. Now no one cares. You do a new release, you get more adoption, you do this, the price just sucks. And like, for example, Litecoin's price should be higher than almost anything that's not like a Solana type thing with like millions of transactions going through, just based on the usage. But then it's like, oh, Litecoin's gone, it's dead. It was like, it's so dumb. So at least this is like repegging. Oh, like like how many coins have gotten 51% attacked and then have like pumped? Solana goes down 8 times and then just doesn't crash. And then like, I mean, to be fair, they fix their things now, but the price never may punish them for going down during that time, really. And I'm glad to see like it's starting to look like fundamentals match a little more, maybe.
It's possible that Monero holders are just more technical or more like OG crypto folk, right? And so they're less concerned about the markets themselves and like these flashy pump and dump meme coins. They look at it in terms of utility and, you know, the project being healthy. And if they're starting to lose confidence, maybe that's what's happening. That's what we're seeing. Mm-hmm. In terms of Litecoin, its price, I definitely agree. You know, but if you consider the Litecoin miner, the scrypt miner, right, and their profit, it's healthy. Their watt per watt. I don't know if it's still this number, but last time I checked, watt per watt, a Litecoin miner makes about 3 times as much as a Bitcoin miner, because of Dogecoin, because of Bell's coin, because of these other things, right? So that's important to consider. Like I kind of look at the Litecoin market cap price. Rather, I don't look at that so much, and I look at more the scrypt like family of coin price as an aggregate, because this is like the miners are the ones that are driving the networks, right? And so long as these miners are generating revenue, like you kind of have to put them all in the same bucket and then aggregate, you know, or put them in the same bucket and then look at the value together in aggregate to see how secure the network is, right? It's a different beast with the merge mining. And I mean, what I find interesting with Bitcoin Cash is, man, like they're still profitable. They've been attacked, but now like they have this, you know, difficulty adjustment algorithm, right? That speeds up or slows down the blocks after like a huge dump or like a removal of hash rate. Like they're still able to produce blocks, right? They don't ever get held up for more than 24 hours or something, right?
Well, I don't know about 24 hours. I mean, BCH just has a 1 block difficulty algorithm, which is, you know, like exponential, right? So obviously if there's a huge dump, like then the blocks do slow down for a little bit, but it's kind of designed so that it catches up pretty fast, which is important because if you don't have that, like if the BTC guys can only get away with having 2016 blocks because they don't have that variation, because if your 2016 blocks, like if your hash rate dumps 50%, then the time to get to the next 2016 blocks is then going to be like even more blocks.
It's like a week per block.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're just fucked. Yeah.
As a result, like Bitcoin Cash is, I want to say, more resilient than Bitcoin, right? Like,
yeah,
considerably more resilient.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we've proven it by being like wrecked this whole time with the price, with the slander, with the propaganda, all this stuff. That's where I think people really underrate that, because if BCH can just power through all that and come back, you know, head to head,
you can't kill it, man.
BCH is way better. Exactly. BCH
Bitcoin
is so
can't
much
kill
more
it.
resilient than BTC. And, you know, once people, obviously you have the network effect, you have a lot of things on the BTC side, you have more money, you have more brand traction. But as BCH starts to gain background, which it has started to do, there's a tipping point at which people are like, wait, these guys had all these problems and they're still here and now they're winning. Like, at what point does the BTC community have to prove that they are the ones who could be resilient in that situation? And once that thought enters people's mind, that's the beginning of the end, basically.
Yeah. No, I see that. And that, like, look, these chains are eternal. Who's to say what's going to happen in the next 10, 20, 30 years, right? Like, is it possible? It certainly is possible. And that kind of blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, let me see. I had a post that kind of was on this resilience. Here we go. Let me throw this up on the screen, because I've thought about this resilience kind of point of view a lot. This was the 9th, so I guess like a week ago. I said, unfortunately, the best decentralization test in crypto is the DPRK test. If the North Koreans are using your blockchain and no one can stop them, that means it's probably decentralized enough. Please don't encourage this, though. Blockchains can't go to prison, but people can. So it's not like everyone can, you know, bait the North Koreans into using their chain just to prove if it's decentralized or not, and you should not. But it's kind of one of those types of things of like, I do think that the value in a lot of these networks is in the resilience. And if you can prove resilience, that should be an immense thing of value. If you can't prove resilience, that's like a big unknown. And I think that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin has so much market capitalization today, is because a lot of people view it as resilient, because people try to increase the block size, and whoever, you know, won that thing or, you know, pushed that off, and then crypto as a whole has been sort of battered over the years and it's come back stronger, and then Bitcoin gets the credit for it. And so, I mean, I would argue that like the Bitcoin got kind of hampered really early on and is kind of like showing weakness, right? That it just never figured out the block size thing, never figured out scaling, never figured out all this stuff, and it just became like sailors pump and dump kind of thing. Maybe that's a little bit of a bearish version of Sam. I'm exaggerating a little bit for that.
I think it certainly got pigeonholed, right? Like, I think block size increase isn't the end of the world, and probably a healthy thing to do eventually. And it would have happened had there not been this push initially of Bitcoin Cash, right? There's this saying, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think the people that were pushing big blocks had the best intentions at heart, right? Unfortunately, they didn't have consensus, right? And that was where they should have stopped, in my opinion, because the world as a whole needed Bitcoin to succeed. And now, from my perspective, we have a Bitcoin that's kind of vulnerable, and is stuck and is pigeonholed. And Bitcoin shouldn't be pigeonholed. It needs to evolve with its usage, with mass adoption. It had to evolve, because now we're in a situation where, it's no longer a medium of exchange. It's solely looked at as a store of value. And you could argue that Lightning fixes that, maybe, but in my opinion, Lightning is very difficult to achieve self-custody with, right? If not impossible.
Impossible, I would say, because by having a channel open with anyone, you share custody of those funds in the channel, even though the rules for who can withdraw and how make it simulate self-custody. But technically, you could lose the money in the channel. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. So the network would punish the person that pulled out for sure, but you'd still be screwed. So yeah, man, I honestly, I feel like that fork is probably the worst thing to happen to crypto. still even worse than Terra Luna. You know what I mean? Like, I think a unified Bitcoin ecosystem would have been the best thing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any way back. In my view, there's like, we have like for the SHA-256 miners for Bitcoin Cash, it's kind of like this Thunderdome, right? Like 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. And eventually, honestly, my money's on Bitcoin Cash, right? Like Bitcoin's being propped up by clout, right? By it's basically a popularity contest now, political perhaps. But that's only going to last so long, right? In the end, security, durability are what count, right? In the long scheme of things, and like in the next 50 years, politics will change, right? Styles will change, people's opinions will change.
Yeah,
and perhaps the dominant SHA-256 blockchain will change.
It's going to be interesting. So, I guess predictions off the top of my head is both BTC and BCH will still be around in 10 years. Beyond that, I don't know. Like, obviously, as far as things I care about, BCH is doing a lot more of those things. Like, I can kind of trust it'll remain relatively low fee, being able to be used as currency and actually be able to use for other cool things rather than just let's hope billionaires and government speculate on this. BTC is so strongly in people's minds, though. I don't like this. One of my big disagreements, I guess, with Justin Bonds, who otherwise I agree with him on so many things. He's extremely technological forward. He's like a technologist. He's like, this tech is good, we'll win. This tech isn't good, we'll lose. It's so much of it with, maybe this is a flaw in, maybe I'm speaking like the machines in the Matrix or whatever, but like a flaw in the human system is it just, we don't always pick the best tech. In fact, not all the time. It's so many other things. So I think Bitcoin is so technologically vulnerable, but it's so solidified in the human psyche that you can't kill it very easily. You kind of literally have to wait for everyone who remembers it being valuable to kind of be dead or something. Kind of like old ideas die with old generations. I think that if Bitcoin starts to like fall apart, you will see this Monero style response mechanism of people going, no, let's get up and fix this, and we'll like people are gonna fight for this thing. And so like I think like if there's going to be a BCH flippening at some point, it's probably gonna be like past 10 years. Like maybe I'm being pessimistic by saying that, or I mean who the hell knows what's gonna happen in 10 years, but I see it taking a very long time, because if BCH gets close, what I would do if I was a BTC person was I would evaluate both and maybe jump to the better one. But that's not how people work. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, got to defend Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes down, the whole space, even if Bitcoin is 20% of the entire crypto market cap by then, people are still going to fight for it. So I'd say at least another 10 years of Bitcoin. And I think Justin Bonds has this like death spiral idea of like it's going to, the security budget starts to fail, and then people try to do like a mass withdrawal, and the blocks, you can't do it. It'll take generations for people to whatever, and then the whole thing collapses. I don't think they're going to let that happen in like 10 years. I think it'll take a while.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you both made great points, absolutely. I mean, my personal view is BCH the global reserve currency in 20 years, but that could be, a flippening in 10 wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it's a slowly then suddenly thing. I sort of think about it in terms of like in my mind, when I started the podcast, I thought, you know what? If I had a Twitter account with 1 million followers, like real followers, like how much is Sailor? He's like 20 million or something like that. But I was like, if there was somebody shilling BCH like me with 1 million followers, by that point, BCH must have so much clout and so much interest and stuff like that it would be able to flip BTC. And then, so I thought, okay, I've got to try and hit 1 million followers. And then that's why I'm nearly at 10K, right? So I've been working on this, exponentially. That's 2/3 of the way there, because it's powers of 10. So
yeah,
the thing is, it gets slower. It gets harder. So 10K to 100K, and then 100K to 1 million, I think is probably going to be easier. But 10K to 100K, that's a big grind. Is that going to take 10 years? I don't know. I mean,
We're
I feel
talking
like if
about,
BCH gets in the top 10, that's when like the flood, everyone will be like, shit, these guys are back in the top 10. Like that's going to be a huge, huge
Are you
milestone.
talking about X followers or YouTube followers?
No, Twitter.
Yeah.
That's where
So-
that's where the chat is.
Yes, although I have to say the follower counts are super meaningless today, which is crazy because like my account gets more engagement than the Dash
Yes.
account, and the Dash
Yeah.
account has like 430,000 followers. And
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of them are like bots or dead or whatever because it's been around like literally since January of 2014 the account's been on. So it's like a lot of like, oh, big hype cycle, everyone follows, those accounts get deactivated. A lot of them are dead old accounts. But yeah, so I get the point about like reach and stuff.
There's a certain cloud. Yeah. Because BCH just suffered so badly from having no dedicated like promotion. I mean, you can even look like the Litecoin has like the LTC, that big account, and Charlie Lee's retweeting it and whatever. Like Litecoin actually does a pretty good job for its size of getting the message out there, getting on all the exchanges, getting people to. That's like really impressive actually.
Yeah,
And
and I have to
BCH has
say-
a lot of pros, but that's definitely not one of them. The public visibility and noise, no.
Zcash and Monero also punch pretty high. So Monero's got a lot of influencer people. There's this guy, I don't know, I don't want to, he doesn't mostly do that, but a lot of mindshare has gone kind of in that direction. But then Zcash, like, do you know who Mert is? 0xMERT_.
Yeah, I've heard the name. Yeah,
He runs Helios Labs, which is one of those big Solana things. You could consider him the biggest Solana influencer. Anyway, so he's been chilling Zcash pretty hard recently. Like he's not a Solana maxi despite doing that stuff, but and when the Monero people come after him, he's not nice in return. He's got a very sassy, but the point is like you get these mind share and these like big people, and then like obviously Bitcoin has a lot, which kind of reminds me of the Jack Dorsey thing I sent you. I'm going to put that up at the screen.
I love this.
The good old
Bro.
I pissed off the founder of Twitter. So
I love
Jack Dorsey's saying this: we want Bitcoin to become a P2P electronic cash and everyday money as it was designed to be. And then because I'm an asshole, I came and said, remember when you sold a Bitcoin? I didn't even realize I misspelled hardware wallet. But anyway, harder wallet, but didn't accept Bitcoin for it. You're part of the problem. And he actually answered. He says, we accept Bitcoin for BitKey now. Chill, B. And of course, I had to hit him back with this like Bishop doing this thing. Say, I accept your penance for your recent past crimes. So
No, well played, Joel. Well played.
yeah, so I feel bad about coming after him a little bit because he's doing the right thing. He's pushing for Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system right now when it's a very unpopular idea. And I believe in crypto, right, as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. At least that has to be there in crypto. It's super important. And also, anytime you go against the herd for something good, it's also respect. So like I don't want to discourage him doing this, but also I gotta call him out for kind of being full of shit earlier, when he's like, and people even called him out and says, hey, why can't I spend my Bitcoin on this BitKey? He says, spend your fiat, keep your Bitcoin or something. I'm like, and it was like a year ago. It was like not that long ago. It's like a year. And so I don't know what changed. Maybe he just saw the sailors really screwing things up, and then he's just like,
Now, people like him who have to try their best to make it work, right? Like absolutely everything has to be tried. And then, once they've exhausted that, we'll see where the chips lay, right? It might be in their hands. It might be elsewhere, but they have to, it has to be tried.
I'm not even beyond apologizing to him for being rude in that moment if our paths cross in a better way in the future. Like, I'm doing the Twitter thing again, just like the Maxi thing about like the sports thing. Like, if I was at a conference with him and he was saying Bitcoin needs to be doing that, I wouldn't be like, yeah, well, guess what, you fucking hypocrite. I wouldn't be doing that. No way. Like face to face. I would probably ask him a question after his talk and just be like, hi, thanks. I really appreciate this. I really agree with what you're saying on this. Just curious though, was this like a recent change of heart? When did this come around? Because I remember like a year ago, you weren't selling it for this. So what do you think? I'd be like much more respectful about it in real life, because that's just what you do, right? And I get on X. It's a little
That's
more.
not always what
The
you
truth
do.
is, if you would have
It's a
asked
little
him,
more jostly.
if you would have asked him that question in like a less confrontational way, he wouldn't have
He would have
responded,
ignored
right?
it.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah.
That's what it is. It's like a you're throwing out jabs. That's what
you
do
want.
on-
You want to touch him. You want to touch him.
Yeah,
And you
it's like,
succeeded.
I don't know, whatever. But people talk shit to me all the time. It's funny because I have verbal spats with Monero people a lot, and then I see them at like an event, and we shake hands and have a good chat, kind of. And it's like, okay.
I mean, I think people can be a little bit fake about that. I try. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that I get it right 100% of the time, but I try to tweet stuff that I would straight up say to people's face, like as much as possible. Pretty much, I think that's how I would be, like in person. Sometimes I talk shit to people, and then I've had them on the podcast, and that's also interesting because there I would say it to them, but sometimes I don't because the dynamic there is, it's my podcast, so I'm already kind of punching down. I can't like wreck them, when it's also that's a bit unfair, I'm already in my comfort zone. I already have the microphone, so that's hard. But the funniest was this year when we went to Op Next and we were there, Callisti and I and Jet and Jerry and Callisti, we're sitting in the front row. That's such a good clip of Callisti just calling them out on stage. Like, what the fuck are you guys waiting for? Like, what is all this nonsense you're talking about? Like, we need to do this upgrade. Like, why don't you just jam a fork in it? Why don't you release a client? Like, get the fuck on with it. Or whatever it was that he said. I was sitting right next to him and I was like, whoa, shit. Like, this is a real call out. And he just like said it straight up to them. Oh man, that's such a good clip.
It's also like in his.
I'd love to see that clip if you have.
I'll send you that clip. You can like, I'll send you it.
It's also like in his personality. Like he's such a not douche that when he goes and like it's easier for him to be blunt. Like if I said something like that publicly the same way, maybe I'd come off to be a little bit more aggressive. Like people would get like, oh, this guy's a jerk. Whereas there's different ways of doing it. But I have to say, everything I say online, I stand behind. Sometimes the tone, like, in order to be polite, I have to like have like a bunch of words. So sometimes I just gotta squish it for like to hit it. But it's not like I don't like take this back. Like if Jack's like, "I remember when you called me out for this," I'd be like, "Yeah, you kind of deserved it too." I mean, no offense, but
Yeah, at least he didn't block you. That's what happens most of the time, right? From the Bitcoin community, and you're critical at all, and they silence you, remove you, and so then you can't participate at all anymore.
Well, I'll get into Jack in just a second. Do you know who Tay is? Tay Vano.
No.
She's I think TAYVANO _ I think is her handle. She's an interesting lady. She does a lot of like blockchain analytics for like hacks and things, and she talks like a middle school like mean girl kind of thing, which is kind of funny. But she blocked me because she was basically saying Thorchain should censor these North Korean transactions, and I basically said no, they're decentralized. Like she's being shitty about it too, like or whatever. And then she blocked me. And then we were both in a Telegram group like a couple months later about the Roman Storm trial. And then I finally messaged her and I was like, "Hey, can you unblock me so I can retweet you? I promise not to talk shit about Thorchain again." She's like, "Okay." And so she unblocked me and followed me, and it worked out. Anyway, let me here. I'm gonna move to. I
posted the link to that clip and I tagged you on Twitter as well. You can only kind of half hear him because it was like we were in the audience and they were doing this panel, and then they got to a point where like they were sort of asking each other these questions, and then Callisti just like started like shouting at basically from the front row, but he wasn't like mic'd up or anything, so you can only like kind of half hear what he's saying. But he basically says like, "Why are you guys whinging up here on the stage? Like, why don't you just actually split and like do something about it?" And then the guy says to him on stage, you can see he says like, "What are you gonna fix this?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, why don't you just fucking get on with it?" And then after that, it sort of devolved into this like community Q&A, like because then Callisti had said something, other people like started speaking up from the crowd. So anyway, it was such a good moment though. But yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, and it is fun. Like as much as like shouting matches and stuff are uncomfortable or whatever, sometimes a little disruption really moves everything in the right direction. Like I think that I really believe in being polite. That being said, there's a time and a place for everything. Like if there's sometimes you have to say what you have to say, and if there's no polite way of getting it across accurately, you just have to go for the other way. And so maybe calling people out in the middle of a conference like that might not be considered super good decorum, but it's like you have to you get it out. You get the
Well, it
conversation.
moved. I think everybody was like, it was one of those things where it just changes the tone of like people trying to talk around the issue so much, and then sometimes, you just need one person to like break through that and just like get to the bottom of it. But honestly, it was an amazing thing for him to do. I honestly cannot say, and I was like hit hard by that moment because I was right there, and it was like we'd come to this BTC conference, we talked to a couple people, all this stuff. We were in the front row with the BCH like hats and shirts on, and then who are we to be part of the discussion? Or I'm saying we, but I mean really him. That then just like was just like going off, and he was just like, I'm sick of this shit. And it's exactly what he says to them. This is coming full circle. This is why I brought it up. It's exactly what he says to them on Twitter. He says this stuff, and it's like, if you ever needed any proof that he would not like go to the mats on it in real life, well, there it is. So yeah, shout out to him for that.
It sort of reminds me of like, again, bring up Justin Bonds again. He is his online thread person in real life. Like he's the same level of like aggression in debating with his closest friends. Like if sometimes it's just been me and him hanging out at an event and we're hanging, and then he just says that like every coin without programmability will go to fucking zero. You know this, right? He like gets the same kind of like aggression. I'm like, dude, like, and I have to understand. No, that's just Justin. But then if you give him like if you argue back, it's a good point, he'll just be like, no, that was a really good point. I may be wrong on that one. I'll have to look into it. I may be wrong. And I'm like, just, all right. Yeah, it's authentic. But like on the Jack Dorsey thing, right? People, I don't know anyone who likes Jack Dorsey, I should say, in my circle of people. But I'm going to like defend him a little bit. Because first of all, he created Twitter, which is a great feat, like to get it to that big. Like whatever you think about it. He allowed it to become all kinds of not good things, and I think he bears responsibility for that, but I don't think he was the mastermind either. I think he just kind of was on to other things and just sort of like took the path of least resistance, and then Elon took it over and did whatever he does. He deserves a lot of credit for getting into libertarian ideals, I would say late, maybe being a bit of a hypocrite about them at times, but like at least getting into it, publishing like the Anatomy of the State online. I was like, holy shit, what's he doing? Like, this is crazy. And then also getting into Bitcoin, and the maxi stuff is annoying but he just became the maxi of the wrong thing. Like if he was just a freedom or digital cash maxi, we'd have no problem with him. Like I think that can change over time, but the point is, he seems to have gotten in the right corners of things where he's like, oh, hardware wallet, that's for self-custody. Oh, let's help people with payments. Open source things. And he did this like bit chat, whatever thing. I mean, we can have all our criticisms about that. He seems to be a heart in the right place person trying to do things that we agree are good things. Just, unevenly and hypocritically sometimes. But I don't think I think we're better off on the whole for having had a Jack Dorsey than not, for sure. But also, even today, I think that we're better having him in whatever the game this is. It's better that he's doing his thing than he's not doing his thing, even though I wish he did it more consistently in a way that I agreed with.
To be a Bitcoiner these days, you have to be a maxi, don't you? Like, if you're not a maxi, if you start talking about other projects, you're going to get disowned by your community. You're not going to get funding, I would assume. I mean, if you look at Andreas Antonopoulos, right, like he's probably one of the greatest Bitcoiners of all time, right, in terms of educating people about it.
Oh, yeah.
He did, he spoke positively of another project, and the Bitcoiners disowned him, right? And I don't know if that's still true today, but like, man, I miss that guy. I think we need his voice back in the space. We need an Andreas Antonopoulos in Bitcoin again, just to speak reason.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like life was so much easier back then because it was all new, and he was the eloquent like top of the food heap, about being eloquent and educator about all this stuff. And then when Ethereum came out, he was one of the first people hyping up Ethereum too, but like not in a shitcoiner way. According to like the Maxis didn't mind that he did that kind of. It just over time, the block size wars change everything, and then all of a sudden you could do this or that, and then like take a position, and he kind of like didn't. I guess he was more of a small blocker in the end, but he didn't take a position either. He just was like, Lightning Network is so amazing on this stuff, and it's all still very theoretical. He wasn't really around when Lightning really came out and started to be used in the wild. You saw the limitations in real life, and he just like, but also like, and like this criticism, like I love Roger Ver. He was a little aggro with with Andreas, where he's just like, you don't even own any Bitcoin. Why you should be a billionaire if you had any Bitcoin? And he's just like, bitch.
But that got Andreas paid. That was ironically the whole thing, just to spite Roger. Then people donated him the Bitcoin, so Andreas actually owes Roger a beer for that.
Yeah, I guess. But like with all just like the negativity in the space, like I understand him just like disappearing. And as I said before, people have said they've seen him in like the last year at crypto conferences, like sitting in the back and taking notes on talks, but like not being in the limelight. And like, I don't know if I think that's a cowardly move or I think that that's completely understandable. I can't.
Self-preservation. I mean, like, yeah. Maybe the world's not ready to hear what he has to say. Maybe he's just waiting for his moment.
Yeah, maybe he's about to be maybe he was the mastermind behind Cubic, and he just used Come From Beyond or whatever as like the fall guy to get all the death threats in the thing.
Oh my god.
Again, I don't believe this, but it'd be funny. Maybe imagine he comes out like mastering Solana. Everyone's like, no.
Oh no. I don't think no. He's a good guy. He would never do that.
Yes, it is pretty funny. But yeah, it's pretty nuts, right? The way the system, the whole thing is gone. What do you guys think of the bull bear kind of? Like this last bull cycle has felt eerie, right? Like usually there's all this euphoria everywhere. Like, oh my god, we're going to the moon. Your cab driver's talking about, I just bought some new Bitcoin. It's going like all this retail FOMO's going around. This cycle, it's been kind of quiet, and like no one has really felt like it's a bull market, but the prices of Bitcoin at least has gone up and some other coins, and so I don't know. It feels a little weird, doesn't it?
It's more of an institutional bull market, right? Less of a retail one. I feel like people have been through like a hard past 2 years. I think a lot of people have been traumatized. Some people probably won't be back, right? Other people are still recovering. So we'll see. I mean, yeah, I agree. It's been kind of, I haven't felt that euphoria. Maybe it's just because I'm a Litecoiner, but and the price has been pretty stable. But yeah, definitely, I get what you're saying. The euphoria isn't there. Bitcoin's doing well, and that's great. But are the buyers just institutions at this point, or is there a lot of retail investment still coming in? I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go in a minute because we've been going for 2 hours now. But on this topic, I mean, I said at the start of the year that I thought it was maybe a stretch for BTC to even hit 100K, and I thought the whole bull cycle would massively underperform everyone's expectations, because my theory is still that the bull markets were driven by retail euphoria. Happened in 2013, happened in 2017. They just, kicked out the big blockers, and then it was kind of like, we're all united, and then there was big FOMO. If it happened in 2020 and 2021, it was not as good as a payment network or whatever, but there was still like El Salvador, legal tender, yeah, fuck yeah. And so now we're in 2024, 2025, and all that retail adoption, that's just dead. People are not even really trying it. There's no exciting news. Even when there's this stuff like Square is integrating and stuff, even like you can go on mechanics, what's his name, Guy Swan's roundtable on the most recent episode, and they're going through like lightning sucks, guys. It has all these problems, like etc. These are the guys who are half, yeah, the guys who are hard.
I had Guy Swan on my very channel in the early days, back before I think the Maxis, when I was looking into Lightning, thought I might have been one of them or something. And so I got these people that when I asked them again, they just like ghosted me. They never wanted to come back on. But yeah.
Well, you'll love that episode. Go listen to it and then, send him some clips and be like, bro, what is this? But anyway, the point is the BCH, the BTC price is at all-time highs or like very close to it right now, but it doesn't feel like that because you're right. There's no euphoria, and I doubt it's going to keep, obviously I'm wrong. I did go over at kind of 100K, but like people are like 250K or 500K, people are like hyping themselves up so much, and then that has not happened, is basically not going to happen. And everybody's like, no, it's coming. It just hasn't hit the, we're still building into the bull market. I wonder at what point people will be like, yeah, that was it. Okay, that was it. That was the whole thing. And I think that will just be a cataclysmic change for the whole crypto industry. Like if BTC dominance was 66% and topped out, it drops off a bit, but the whole crypto market kind of shrinks. And then everyone's like, shit, we didn't all just get rich just for waiting. Like it's now global scale. Everybody basically has heard about Bitcoin. Everybody has heard about it several times. Everybody could have bought some on Coinbase. Everybody kind of knows, oh, okay, the price went up a little bit. And you even see that people talking about like, oh, BTC price is going up and we're still so early. Of course you're not early. But the reason that they like to tell themselves that is because they still are talking to people who are like, I'm not interested. But it's not because they're too stupid. It's because those people just are not interested in store of value, whatever. So I think after this cycle, then everyone will have to rethink and be like, shit, you know what? We actually got to build something that real people will use for payments, and that will drive the next bull market and the next bear market and then the next bull market. But that'll take another cycle.
So many people got shuck out, right? Like in 2022, so many people just got hurt and lost everything, right? With these with Celsius and
FTX
stuff and
all that, yeah.
FTX, like so many people got burned. It's going to take a while for all that capital to come back into the market.
Well, here's the thing, Sailor, right? This is one of those ones where like it feels illegal to be this early, kind of thing. Anyone with half a brain has realized that Sailor's Ponzi scheme is going to come crashing down at some point, or something bad is going to happen from that, right? There's already people who are posting like, MicroStrategy's decoupled from Bitcoin. You really need to address this, Sailor. This is getting out of hand. Like people are already getting like, dude, we're still not even at the bull top, and people are freaking out about MicroStrategy. Like, this thing's gonna blow hard. And like the amount of maxis who got conned into buying the shitcoiniest of shitcoins is like insane. That they gave up their Bitcoin for MicroStrategy. It's insane, and they're all gonna get wrecked. So I think that's one of the reasons why Bitcoin dominance has been so high lately, is because again the FTX stuff of the world, Luna, FTX, all that wipeout made everyone think that's the casino, Bitcoin's the real one. But then when you extend Bitcoin to a casino, and the casino goes belly up in like March, let's say, then Bitcoin's going to take a bigger tumble than the alt sector, because it's all in Bitcoin, say, or it gets liquidated or whatever and has to sell Bitcoin, however that shakes out. And then it's going to sort of wreck everyone, and then people are not going to do this get rich quick stuff anymore. They're just going to use crypto as utilitarian things. And whoever invests in that infrastructure, meaning you're running companies that profit off of this, or you have like a Solana validator that gets transaction fees from millions of people running on the network, or whatever it is, those people are going to be rich. But like the retail investor, so this is like, I guess 2021 was the apex of the retail crypto investor, and 2025 is the apex of the retail by way of institution Bitcoin investor. And then now the next cycle is the age of the retail user. That's what I'm hoping for.
I agree. Anyway, I've got to bounce.
The retail.
But,
yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's solid for 200 episodes, man. That's absolutely incredible. Love chatting to you both. And see you at episode 400, eh?
Absolutely. It's only going to be another few years. Yeah, I mean, I don't intend to stop the show, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get taken out for talking shit about Monero too much, and then I'll only get to episode 238.
They're busy at the moment. Don't you know? They got bigger fish to fry than you right now, man. You're safe for the moment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks for being on, and bye-bye, and good luck with your show, too.
Ciao.
Take care.
All right, well, we should probably wrap this up pretty soon. Any other general, like, thoughts on the state of the space? Any way you're feeling about how things are going, how Litecoin's going, etc.?
I mean, look, I'm happy with how Litecoin's going, not in terms of the price, but in terms of the community and how it's grown, and what the foundation's been doing. I like to see that Charlie's re-engaging with, having exposure to Litecoin and getting these treasury companies up and running. The fact that so many people, apparently he had something like 20 meetings or something in a day with different institutions or companies or something. So people are interested in reaching out to him. Yeah, I'm just like I said, the euphoria isn't there. There's a lot of room for improvement. I would love to see a bull run where Bitcoin doesn't necessarily have to go down, but Bitcoin goes up, but Litecoin tracks and catches up in terms of its ratio. Yeah, but I feel like with the SEC changing the guards and Gensler gone, we might have had a Litecoin ETF sooner had he not left. And I think Gensler got a bad rap. I might get some shade for this.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but I think
Preparing the
Gensler. Yeah, for sure. I didn't really have a huge problem with Gensler. I frankly agreed with a lot of his takes. Could he have moved a little bit faster? Could he have played less games when it came to giving regulatory clarity to some of these securities or tokens or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for sure. But at the same time, I mean, he did do, he did allow for a Bitcoin ETF. And I feel like a Litecoin ETF would have happened sooner than it is now. Right now, I feel like it could have been approved probably in March or May or something. But because of the new SEC chair, things have to be reevaluated. And it looks like if it does get approved, it'll get approved with like a Solana ETF with the Dogecoin ETF, right? Like probably at the same time. And that doesn't really make me super happy. It would have been nice to have been like the next crypto to be ETF'd. But whatever. I mean, look, this is the long game. I'm into Litecoin. I'm into Dogecoin because these are like cryptos that seemingly are still for the people, right? Whereas Bitcoin kind of lost the script. It looks like Bitcoin's for the institutions now, and people have been taught. Or I saw a post on X. I don't have it saved, but someone said that maybe you've seen it too. But they should rename the title of the Bitcoin white paper and get rid of peer-to-peer electronic cash, because at this point, that's not one of its strong suits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with Lightning the way it is in its current state, and it being, as you said, impossible to self-custody in a practical way, yes, the scaling issue is still there, and it's glaring more than ever, right? Sure, fees are low today, but during the halving last year, you saw fees what they were for like that for like a day or two. They're up somewhere between like $350, right? Which is pretty insane.
Yeah. Things haven't been figured out, and like I think as going back to like the Monero thing, I think that we could have some major overhauls to Monero's security system pretty soon, when they were just nowhere on the roadmap whatsoever before like the last few weeks. And so I think that there's just so much talk about Bitcoin, right? So like if you go into like the long-term thing, like so like Dash's CoinJoin privacy thing was originally going to be, it was a proposal for Bitcoin to like integrate Dash the privacy function into Bitcoin in like 2013 or something like that. I can't remember the exact time. And then they kind of said like no. So it's like, all right, we're going to start Darkcoin as it was called at the time. And then Adam Back was one of the people behind confidential transactions, which hides the transaction amounts, and just never got implemented. It was for Bitcoin, never got implemented in Bitcoin. I think Monero was one of the first to implement it in 2017. They had ring signatures before, and then they combined them to do ring CT, and now it's in Litecoin as well. Dash is moving to add that as well. Like CT is like a Bitcoin thing that got turned into that, and then you get on to just name the thing, whether it's SegWit, which did SegWit and Lightning did happen to Bitcoin, but then of course Litecoin first. Drive chains, a Bitcoin thing that never happened, in my opinion, never will. And I don't know if it's coming to Litecoin. I heard rumors. I don't know if it's 100%.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, no.
But so add these things, zero knowledge proofs, right? Satoshi talked about he thought a better implementation of Bitcoin could be created if ZKPs were ready, and they weren't at the time. Then they were Zcash, right? You get that, and programmability for Vitalik was trying to do stuff like that on Bitcoin first, and he's like, I'm just going to do Ethereum. Like every cool idea, almost every not these days. Now people just understand it's not going to happen on Bitcoin, so they just start it wherever. But Bitcoin has a wealth of solutions ahead of it, and it's just no impetus to implement them whatsoever. But if they get the impetus, if there's Bitcoin's going to be 51% attacked, we're going to go broke, no one's going to use this, Solana's passing it in market cap or something, whatever the situation ends up being, I do think that you could have some major improvements to Bitcoin in a short period of time just crop up, because they're already kind of waiting in the wings and no one cares to do them yet.
There's so many people building, right? And they run into an issue where there's so many cooks in the kitchen. They're all fighting for their own solution, and people's agendas might be some people might just want to be able to collect the fees, right, of their proposed solution. So how do you know who's the best, whose solution is the best, and unless you actually try it. But the fact that there's so many people building on Bitcoin, and it lacks direction, right? The community isn't as technical as it used to be. The community looks at they just want number go up. Right, so whatever will number go up the most is what they'll get behind, which isn't always going to be the best, probably not the best solution, right? Coins like Monero, coins like Litecoin, they have a leader still, and I mean with crypto being still in its nascent state, I think it's important that these projects have proper guidance, right? And the person guiding or leading the push needs to be trustworthy, needs to have integrity, needs to have the community to back them, right? And so the behavior is important. So yeah, well, to say it, I think Charlie's a great leader for Litecoin. I think despite his criticisms, I mean, he has maintained his integrity in terms of removing any conflict of interest, right, in 2017 by selling everything that he had. At some point he was saying that he would tweet something and you'd ask himself, am I tweeting this just to pump the price of Litecoin, or am I tweeting this because I believe it?
Yeah.
So he sold, he divested, he invested. I think he invested everything into Bitcoin afterwards, and while actively working on Litecoin. And making it more robust and more usable.
I have to say, that's the way of doing it. I can't, even cynically, I can't criticize that, because Litecoin at its peak was definitely an all-time high versus Bitcoin especially. And so almost every crypto has that crazy pump chart where it goes and then down.
No, during that bull run, Litecoin led it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so you think if you get out at that point, it's just if you get out at that point, then you rotate into Bitcoin. I think that this is, other than some things like Solana and maybe Ethereum to a certain extent, but especially like even Ethereum not. This is like the Bitcoin all-time high price versus most other cryptos kind of thing. And so now would be a great time for Charlie to now take all the Litecoin that he dumped into Bitcoin and now sell all that back. And like honestly, like if I sold every, I never had a lot of any kind of money, but if I sold all the Dash I had at the all-time high and then put it into Bitcoin, and again, this is not how I think. I don't really give a shit. I just do what I do, right? But if I had, and it was in Bitcoin now, and then I could just sell it now and put it back into Dash, that would be like a massive amount at this point. So like if Charlie's actually like savvy enough to like kind of read the tea leaves, and like if this is actually what he did, which again, there's a lot of speculation, but that is kind of, I don't know, that's kind of cool. Like, you don't hate the player, hate the game, right? That's a successful player if, you find your own projects, hype cycle top, dump it all, realize Bitcoin's going to go up, put it all in there, and then just at the right time, dump it all back in. It's just like, sell high, buy low. I mean, isn't that the name of the game?
Certainly. And I see the point you're making. And it's certainly possible. Could he have done it that way? Potentially. That's a cynical perspective for sure. But at some point, like, how much money do you need, right? Like, you got into Bitcoin early on, like in 2010 or something, earlier than that, maybe in 2009, who knows? So how much money does a person need? I don't know. Maybe a lot.
Well, like I am starting to kind of see different perspectives on that. Like myself, I currently have all the money I need for me, really. Like if I fell into like $1 billion right now, the only difference would be I would probably be a little less cheap about upgrading like my laptop. Like I have a laptop that has a broken shift key, so I carry an external keyboard everywhere I go because I'm too lazy to get a new. I don't want to get. I can afford it, but I don't want to. And I might just hit buy on that right away, and I'd probably get an addition built on my house right away. Other than that, I don't need any other money personally. But if I had, I can think of so many uses for $1 billion worth of anything in not for me, in like funding open source development for XYZ. There's so many things I want done. Like, for example, every single crypto right now that I like, I mean, the ones I don't like, the ones that aren't like decentralized and good, it's whatever. Everyone I like, I would like to throw a few $100,000 at each at least, or if not like $1 million each, to like do a massive privacy overhaul of their privacy tech, for example. I'd just be like, there you go, here you go, here you go. Just like elevate the whole space. And then every single wallet out there, I would just say, hey, can I give you like 50 to 100K if you integrate all these privacy functions for the cryptos you already support? Like, throw money at that too. Like, what can you do here? Some nonprofit for this, some research thing for that. Like, if I had billions of dollars, that it would, I mean, half of it would be gone almost overnight for just where I want to throw it to like make the world a better place. But like on a personal level, I'm fine. Maybe Charlie's thinking the same way, right? Maybe the moves, like, I mean, I don't know what he does with his money on a personal level, but maybe he just has this giant stack and now he's just like, I can influence the world in a meaningful way now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and he did create MWeb, right? Or he did implement MWeb on Litecoin. And now he's invested in this pharma company that does oncology research. So that could be seen as something humanitarian. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, if I had $1 billion, I'd change a lot. Like, I'd probably, to be honest, I wouldn't change that much, but like, I'd spend more time with probably my family. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah,
less time working, obviously, and like just things like that would change. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would do a little bit more of that. Like, I would probably spend more time working if I was a billionaire, just because they'd have more things to be working on. Or maybe I'd spend less. Maybe I'd hire someone to do like, the dumb things like schedule social media posts or like, basic things. I answer all those emails. I might just have like a personal assistant just to do that, but then spend. But I don't know. Even then, it just said money. And this is an interesting thing, by the way. And I do want to play around with this at some point in the near future, of because tokenization of value. And so like money is a tokenization of human general value, and that means if I value food, you value food, I will give you a token of value for food, and like it works for everything we do. But there's some things that aren't tokenized by money, some value, like friendships. Friendships are tokenized mentally, about like I value time with a certain person, but rather than pay them, like it's like our arrangement only works with us. Like this is only from this person. It's not anyone can create this value. And then like nonprofit charity stuff, people really value nonprofit work, but no one's going to go down to the charity store and buy some goodness. It just doesn't happen. The free market somehow doesn't work for that. So you have to have a middleman who gets donations from rich people to do charitable things. And I think if you could pay someone in a charity token, that then some businesses or whatever would be like, as a token of my appreciation, I will sell 10 pizzas a day for this charity token that you could only get by doing good things. And so can work is real money in some other ways, just a different language of value. I'd love to experiment with that kind of stuff. And so like reputation, like for example, I'm at the point where in my professional life, I don't really have a lot of resources to throw around, as far as like I can't do a big like partnership and throw a big grant for this or like all that stuff. But as far as like getting people connections and reach and calling in favors and this and that, and like I'm very lopsided in that way, but it's not tokenized. It's just like everyone understands I got a certain amount of influence or whatever. But and that does get things like free tickets to conferences and stuff, or free things like that, which if I had money, I could also pay for. But this is like getting monetary things, but I can't just like pay off the mortgage with my like goodwill. It doesn't work either. So I'd like to just experiment with tokenizing this sort of value in different ways. It could be interesting.
That's an interesting idea. Tokenizing social capital, right? Like, how do you do that? Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the currency of the future. Currently, like, your value in the workplace, at least, comes from what you know, right? What you bring to the company in terms of your skill set, your knowledge. In the next 5 years, it's not going to be as valuable as it is today with AI, right? With AGI coming just around the corner. What'll be your value if a machine can do what you know how to do better, for cheaper, faster, right? Like, yeah, the next couple of years are going to be really, really messed up. I think it's going to change things dramatically, and I feel like a lot of companies are just going to keep a human staff as kind of lip work for humanity, right? Like they're just so the whole so society doesn't collapse in on itself. But beyond that, like new hires, what's the younger generation going to do? Like, what do you tell a kid when they ask you what they should be when they grow up today? It's a hard question to answer.
And I've noticed that is changing too. Like, money is potential freedom and stuff. That's all it is. And so people work they get this like hoard of tokenized value because they work long hours and do uncomfortable things. And then what do you have with it? And it's like, well, then I get to retire. Then I get to like exchange that for all this stuff that I want and the ability to do things I want, or I can pass that on to my children, who then the children can get the thing that I didn't get for myself. But it's just like deferred, what you want. And so I think we're starting to see in society a little bit where people are getting paid quicker, meaning that you have a lot of terrible jobs or just not super fun jobs that are like super well paying, that a lot of people in first world countries just aren't doing as much because they're getting flexibility, work from home, other thing, or doing a fun job and not being paid as much, and because they're already cashing in potential future earnings today. And I think that personally, I think that's a smarter thing, but that's only because like my first year living entirely on crypto, earning only crypto, I made like 12 to 15 grand US for the whole year, like gross. Like I made like nothing, but I was happy, right? And I'm doing a little bit better now, but more importantly, I do exactly what I want every single day other than certain moments. And like I'm already semi-retired, you could call it, because of like I'm a hobbyist full time kind of thing. I'm doing my hobby full time, and so I don't need a bunch of money because I kind of have the flexibility to do all awesome stuff, travel around the world for work, but it's fun. So
Well, it's
yeah.
like what's a XQC, right? Like this guy's super rich, right? And he still streams 10 hours a day or something, right? Like he hasn't. He's still grinding, I guess, because he likes it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you're doing what you're doing now because you like it. What would change if if money wasn't a constraint anymore? I don't know. Like I would probably still play video games most of the time. Like that's what I enjoy doing. Going out doing sports and stuff, but like I don't know, man. Like what would retirement look like? Some place in the woods, probably still playing video games. Probably by the time I'm in retirement age, like I'll be hooked up to a VR machine, kind of like the Matrix, and chilling and I don't know, slowly decaying in the real world, but like playing Battlefield or something in VR. I don't know. It's a good question. It's nice to dream sometimes, but for the moment, it's still gotta grind. Still gotta, make sure that you maintain some value while AI is nipping at your heels, taking it away from you. I don't know, man. Like
that's the thing about like I think people are so used to people are built in with this desire to work because it means that we're going to survive the winter, we're going to feed ourselves, and it's programmed in. And of course we're programmed in to not work harder than we need to, so if we don't have to work, then we don't work. But then when we don't work, we get depressed and stuff like that because we're programmed in to like always be hunting over the next thing, so we're not going to run out of food that we worked hard for, and then all of a sudden we starve. Like we're just the next thing, always the next thing. So that's one thing I'm like, I kind of view retirement like an athletic retirement kind of thing, where like an athlete retires from like combat, but they don't, or if it's a combat sport, they're not a pro player anymore because it's just like it's time to do something different. But it's not like, I think if you retire and you just don't work anymore, it sucks. Like I think that you should retire from the thing that you've been doing because you're done doing that, but you're on to the next thing. You're on to something else.
Oh, that's what they say, that you start to die when you retire. Once you've retired, people tend to fade away unless they've got a hobby that they're passionate about or something else to work on, another vacation. But yeah, typically retirement, people have been worn out with the daily grind, and when they retire, they just, of course, it depends on the person, as I said, but retirement's not a good thing. Typically, you have to keep moving. Right, you keep active and keep yourself stimulated.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing that I really think that you need to keep working, innovating, and as I mentioned with as we talked about with Bitcoin, you can't be stagnant even if you're doing great. Just push the tech forward, and like if name your coin, favorite coin goes to the moon and is just the default currency for the entire planet and everything's won, like you still got to keep tinkering on something, even if it's not, you just got to still build a new app, a new thing. Oh, what about this new blockchain that I don't care about anymore because it's not my base money or whatever, but there's some interesting tech and I just want to work on that. Like you always got to keep working on some small thing, pushing the boundaries of what it could be.
It's like you gotta wake up excited, right? You gotta find a way to make yourself want to get out of bed, right? I read a book recently, and they said that heaven or paradise is an abundance of joy and pleasure without excitement, right? And excitement's what makes life worth living. You know what I mean? So you've got to find ways to keep things exciting. And that's probably the challenge that we're going to be. A lot of people will be facing once AI takes over. Sadly.
Yeah. Well, not to end it on a bad note or whatever, but it's probably a good time to wrap it up. We've been almost 2.5 hours on this thing on the whole. Thanks very much for being on. Episode 200 was really fun.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's August, so September, October. In 4 months is going to be the Christmas special. I'm sure you'll have to be back for that. Get a little Santa hat.
Right on.
And
Yep.
yeah, that'll be another one that we try to pile on the people for. People like the special episodes. It's like the regular ones. The regular ones were maybe a little boring to them, but like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Well, thanks for being on. Maybe I'll run into you again this year. We'll see. Got to make them plans. But yeah. In the meantime, you stay safe out there, huh?
Will do. Thank you. You too, sir.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for 200 episodes. This has been fun. Episode 201 next week. Another day, another episode, right? Another week, another episode. See you guys around. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.